This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Yeah. Big O, we told you we ain't playing no games, man. It's just surely probably Pablo, Culture, Lord Productions.
Good morning, South Florida.
This is the Big O Show.
You're tuned into the Big O Show.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Yo, you tuned in to the hottest sports radio show with Orlando, a.k.a. the Big O. He covers all the South Florida teams, from the Dolphins to the Heat, well, you know what I mean. Monday to Friday, Friday Pablo in the Big O Show.
O's on the radio, the top's where we gonna go. Miami, that's the way we roll. Locked on the morning show, Big O. No one has a similar show. Talk sports, talk plays, talk live and direct. Because nobody do it better than Big O in the set. From sunrise, listen live, it's the best of the best. He's got the fans, got the heat, he's the best of the best. Big O, the only talking sports with a style. Break it a morning, it's Big O-N. Thank you for tuning in, keeping you glued in. Stay tuned, because right here's where the rumors in. Same place, because right here some of them begin. Simply call and just state your opinion. Real talk, sports talks, the Big O Show. Yeah, you love it, yeah, you like it, call him and let him know.
Culture, probably Pablo. Now introducing the man of the hour, Big O, a.k.a. Orlando Gary. Yeah.
Good morning. Yes, sir. We are ready to rock and roll. I see Gus 1388 is ready because he was number one. He was the first in on the chat board. Welcome aboard, ladies and gents out there. As always, thank you for joining us. We are ready to have some fun here for the next couple of hours. It's an exciting day today, right? Because our Heaters are in the playoffs, right? I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. It was a smorgasbord yesterday of basketball. We went 2-2 against the number. We'll give you our picks again today. Although, man, I had just like two terrible breaks yesterday. Like those, what's that thing, the bad break thing or whatever, bad beat that SVP does on SportsCenter?
Bad beats, yes.
Yeah, when they kicked out Porzingis last night, boy, that was a bad beat right there. Oh, man, those of us that took the Mavs +6, you would have won that game if Porzingis stays in. Whether the Mavs win or not, I don't care. But they would have kept it within the 6 or won the game. They were controlling the game. I mean, the second Porzingis got kicked out, dude, it was over. Like, the game completely changed after that. You know, it's basketball. One guy can make an enormous difference. You know?
You got to wonder how the Knicks fans feel seeing that guy do what he does for somebody else.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do, right? It's crazy stuff, man. Anyway, so good morning. We got a lot of things to talk about. Obviously, we got the Dolphins on the practice field for day number 2 as the NFL tries to work its way to week 1 of the NFL season. And we'll see if they're able to get there. We got a lot of things to talk about on the Dolphins side. We got the Heat and the Pacers tonight. Kendrick Nunn is not starting. And I thought this was really interesting because we've kind of been on this for a while now on our show, and we're talking about pre-COVID and all that. We were pointing out that as great a season as Kendrick Nunn has had for a rookie, his numbers were tailing off. He was not efficient as a shooter, and we pointed that out over and over and over again. Now they were overcoming it. But during the bubble time, he had some time away from the team and all that. And during that time, the Dragon was starting. And it looks like the Dragon is going to start because Nunn talked about not starting today. And after 67 games, the kid in the bubble was averaging 10.8 points on 31% shooting and 20% from three-point range. That's not efficient. But he has not been efficient for a long time now. It's a lot of what happened with the Heat. they started 24-8, and then they were a 500 team after that, 17-16. You know what I mean? And they kind of cooled off too. And Nunn had that incredible start, and then it completely tailed off. And in the bubble, he has not been impressive. And I think this is a great move on behalf of Erik Spoelstra. One, you ignite the offense and you get things going. Two, maybe this lights a fire under Kendrick Nunn. Maybe this also doesn't put a lot of pressure on Kendrick Nunn because now you're coming off the bench. And now maybe he's a little motivated after losing the starting job and saying, well, I got to get my crap together and get back on track. So there's a lot of things going on that the coach is doing the good thing for now and maybe for the future too, because Kendrick kind of got that job early on. And the idea was to have Dion and what's it called? Dragon off the bench and try to recapture that magic you had for 29 games a couple years back. And that never materialized. You got rid of Dion, all that, because Dion is Dion, whatever. And so now, you know, Nunn took off, and you said, okay, well, you know what? We're building, anyways, young guys, and we're trying to develop. Let's get Nunn in the mix. And they gave him the opportunity to fight through his ills. And that was during the regular season. When they came back to the bubble, you noticed that the same guy that left you before COVID is the same guy you're seeing now. You're not seeing the guy from early in the season. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I think the changes ended up happening, and I think it was really smart on Spo's part. And maybe this will also light a fire under Kendrick Nunn. See, Dragon is a pro. He's going to play well. Doesn't matter if it's off the bench, starting, whatever. He's going to play his game. And now the one thing you got to remember, I even though he's starting, I still think that they're going to try to balance those minutes. I don't believe they're going to play Goran, 30-plus minutes a game because his body will not hold up at that point. He's better suited for off the bench. So I would imagine that his minutes are still going to be somewhere in the low 20s. So I know Derek Jones is listed as questionable. He went through the walkthrough yesterday, so that's good news. So maybe he does play today. I think he does, actually. So now Nunn and guys like that will have an opportunity to come in after Dragon and put in some, key minutes. And let's hope, listen, I like Nunn. I really do. But we have to call it like we see it. The kid offensively has not been efficient for a long, long time now. And this was a move that they had to make. You're in the playoffs. Don't screw around. You want to have strong starts. You want to bury this team. And listen, Miami's good enough to sweep this team because they're better. Sabonis is not there. Okay, that's a huge piece that they lose. If they have Sabonis there, I don't think there's any shot of them actually sweeping them. I think the Pacers take this series deep. But right now, without Sabonis, I think the Heat are the better team, and they should take care of business. Let's hope that they do. And we'll see today, 4 o'clock, by the way. They're the second game on the slate. The way it goes is 1:30 Orlando and the Bucks, 4 o'clock Heat Pacers, 6:30 Thunder and Rockets. Thunder are favored now. Without a Westbrook, Harden's not good enough to have them favored in a neutral position. It also tells you that what CP3 has done with the Thunder is pretty freaking amazing with those young guys. And then at 9 o'clock, we got the Blazers and the Lakers, and we'll get to that one eventually too. I got my thoughts on that one. But anyway, good move on that. Like I said with Derek Jones, he's questionable. Jeremy Lamb is also out with the torn ACL. That's another bench guy that they could use. So the Pacers have their share of key injuries, especially with Domantas Sabonis. When you got Sabonis out, that's one of your top guys. That's one of your stars on your team. So this is a series that Miami's got to win, okay? I expect them to win in this series. I expect them to dominate. And look, I could give the Pacers 1, maybe 2 games max here. I think you should at least win this in 5, okay? Now, it will be interesting that what happened 2 games ago, because the last game doesn't count. The last game, they just had a bunch of scrubberinis playing and the backups and all that stuff. The good thing is Miami ended up gaining position on the draft by losing on Friday, which was a beautiful thing. But with TJ Warren's streak getting completely halted by the Heat, I'm wondering, because, you know, TJ, without Sabonis, TJ Warren has got to be a monster tonight or this afternoon for the Pacers. I'm not wanting that. I'm just saying they know that. We know that. Heat know that. Jimmy knows that. So I would imagine that the focus on TJ Warren is going to be happening once again, and we'll see if they, end up stopping TJ again. And we'll also see, and I know Jimmy has kind of downplayed and said, that the beef is over and all of that. Well, playoff basketball has a way of kind of sparking that back up again. So we'll see if that does end up happening. Cookie Vice chiming in with a little super chat. Thank you, Cookie Vice. Appreciate you as always. He said Heat in 5. That's what I think too. I think I'll give them 1 game because they're a tough team and they could probably do something at home. Well, not at home, but because there is no home. But I would imagine that they would be able to win 1 of their games at least out of the 5. So yeah, I am with you, Cookie Vice, on that one. I think that's the number right there. Heat in 5. You know what I'm saying? Myron, as always, giving us a little love on the super chat. Thank you, Myron. Appreciate you as always, my man. Did you send me that info? Because I don't know if I saw that info. So make sure you send me that info so we can hook up. You never know. I might visit you this afternoon, tomorrow in the afternoon. You never know. After I'm done. I got to do this before the station starts on the other side, which there's some stuff developing, too, with that a lot of you are going to like, actually. But anyway, so Myron goes, NBA refs are the worst. Go Lakers. Yeah, that was terrible yesterday. That was, just to talk a little bit about it, since we were talking a little Heat, switching over to the playoffs, the 2 fouls on Porzingis, both were cheesy as hell. I tweeted out yesterday that for those of us that lived 80s and 90s basketball, you watch this league and it's so soft compared to what it used to be. In fact, Doris said, "Oh, that was a love tap in the 90s. That wouldn't even be called a foul or something like that." I think she said. So it just one of those where it was just frustrating that those kind of calls would happen and you change. Think about this, man. Dallas could easily be up 1-0 in this game, in this series. They were playing well enough offensively, and you figure, okay, Clippers are struggling here. Dallas is getting the better of them right now. They figured it out. That's why I loved Dallas yesterday, +6. And I was right. If it wasn't for that damn ejection of Porzingis, Dallas has been playing lights out on offense. And yesterday you got a taste of that the Clippers were struggling defensively to stop those guys. But once you take out, the unicorn, you got a problem now, all of a sudden. That's the idea on that team. You got 2 freaks. And they changed the balance of what you're doing because you've got to deal with two dominant players on that team. You take out one of them, obviously. Look at the Rockets. They've got two dominant players, right? One's out. They're not even favored today. They're not even favored. I'll get to that one, too, in a minute. But I'm with you, Myron. NBA refs are the worst referees in all of pro sports. Okay? Not football, not hockey, not baseball. Nobody beats them. They are the worst in this country, and they are consistently proving it. And last night, they were a part of that of the difference in that game. And that's the part that's kind of disgusting, that they had a hand in that defeat yesterday with the Dallas Mavericks, and it's irresponsible. Look, I get it that we can't let players get too crazy in today's NBA. It can't be the Rick Mahorn and the Robert Parishes and the Bill Lambiers of the world and the enforcers and people that will hammer the crap out of you and all that. I get we can't do that anymore. I get that Alvin Robertson could not play defense in today's NBA. Neither could Gary Payton. I understand all of that, okay? But we're in the playoffs. You got to let a couple of things slide, and especially when they're really not that egregious. It wasn't any of those. Those two things could have just been broken up and just move on. We don't have to hand technical fouls here. And then you put yourself in a position because you gave them a soft tech the first time around. And so now the second time around that you want to kind of tee both of them, look what ends up happening. And it's almost like you were better off just teeing the Clipper guy. Don't tee Porzingis and just live with one free throw because you don't want to throw Porzingis out. Pull him aside and say, yo, listen, you were a hair away from getting thrown out. Watch yourself the rest of the game because if not, we can't cover you. Something. But you altered the game yesterday with bad calls. And I felt bad. I'm not a Mavericks fan. Don't care about the Mavericks. None of that. Okay? Mark Cuban, I got nothing against him. He's cool. Now, if they're going against the Heat, obviously I want them to lose. But if you're a Mavs fan, you're pissed as hell today, bro. If this happens to the Heat tonight and Jimmy Butler gets two techs that are soft and Miami loses to Indiana, tomorrow you're going to hear me livid. I will be pissed. And I think every Mavericks fan should be, just fuming right now because of what happened yesterday. You got to have better judgment, and that's always been the problem with NBA referees. Their judgment is so poor on a consistent basis. So that part to me is, and I wish they would have handled it a lot different not because I would have gone 3-1 against the number. That doesn't matter, man. I don't care about that. I just care about referees changing the face of a game. I just don't. We should not notice them. They should be invisible. That they just make their calls and they have no part in it, and we don't have to remember those things. And now with that game, we're going to remember the two calls. And if the Clippers win this 4-3, we're going to go, wow, that first game was a monster break for them. So now Dallas has to overcome bad refereeing, and they've got to win 4 out of the next 6 games against the team that is championship caliber. I mean, that's a little unfair. You know what I'm saying? All right, 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105 if you want to get in. Alan Poupar, SI Dolphins writer, is going to join us at 1 o'clock. Andre Fernandez is going to join us at 1:30. We'll talk, obviously, Dolphins with Alan at 1. we'll talk a little Heat with Andre Fernandez. Andre's got a new podcast. Hopefully, you all out there are supporting the podcast. It's with Manny Navarro. So they talk about all kinds of things going on in South Florida sports, and two guys that have a lot of experience covering a lot of sports here in South Florida. So make sure you follow our guys, too, on the podcast, and we'll talk about that podcast later on the show when we bring Andre on. Looking forward to that. Let me do a little roll call here, as Gus 1388 was the first to chime in. Matthew Walker, Raging Dolphin Maniac, Omar Lopez. I just read that a baseball player got ripped for hitting a grand slam because it was a 3-0 count, the dumbest unwritten rule in sports of all time. Yeah, baseball and their stupid-ass unwritten rules. And that's another reason why. There are many reasons why baseball is in the crapper in this country, and very few people care about it anymore. And unwritten rules is one of the things that kind of contributes to it, because everybody's like, oh, my God, just shut up already. Julius305 says NBA refs suck. Guillermo Arauz is in the house. Let's see. Victor Vitoni, Robert Triana. Estás lindo, Big O. I don't know about that, but that's you're reaching there, but I appreciate you, Robert. Jose Lewis Bryant says, Atlanta checking in, Big O. Good morning to all my fellow Miami everything fans. Ian from Brooklyn says, good morning. Man of 1,005 holes says, morning, everybody. 3-1 in predictions. The stupid NBA refs strike again. Yes, they do. Dougie Fresh is in, says, the panhandle is here. It's climbing in your house, climbing in your windows. Hide your wife, hide your husband. Samuel Robina, what's up, Big O and Bill? Looking forward to the Heat taking the court today. Amen to that. Amen to that. We're gonna do our show straight up to 3:59. No, we're not. I'm joking. I'm not doing 5 hours. I probably could. I mean, there could be a way of doing it, right?
Totally bucking what we normally do, which is it'll end when it ends.
All right, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Don't put us in a box, man.
Yeah, give you a time, right? I'm with you there. Manny J. Snow says, rooting for Rosen to take a big step. You should be. We talked about that before. Every Dolphin needs to be rooting for Rosen. That way it creates trade value. It creates competition. It creates depth. Miami can't lose that way. You know? I mean, who wants anybody wearing a Dolphin logo to fail? You can't be a fan. Okay? I never believed in Ryan Tannehill. Never will, never. He's just a guy. He's a facilitator on his best day, right? But doesn't mean I wasn't rooting for him. I want him to win the damn Super Bowl. I'd rather have Dolphins for the next 20 years. You didn't like Ryan, and he took us to the Super Bowl. I said, yeah, you're right. Thank God. Thank God I was wrong. But, you know, it's you cannot be called a Dolphin if you're rooting against anybody with that helmet, okay? Unless the guy's a rapist or a killer or whatever, and the Dolphins were stupid enough to bring him on the team, and you can't stand a criminal, then I get if there was somebody that was disgusting and despicable on the team, and the Cowboys have done that over and over again, that they give disgusting and despicable people these chances that they don't deserve. You know what I'm saying? Ray Rice, you know what I mean? If you're a Ravens fan, let's say, and they didn't find the video, or maybe they did and they still kept it only a couple games and Ravens brought him back, and you want to root against Ray Rice because you can't stand somebody that beats women, I'm with you there. Outside of it, the person being a complete scumbag, you cannot be called a Dolphin if you're not going to root for everybody that wears that ugly logo that we currently have right now on the helmets. Can't be. That's all. So, yeah, you damn right you better be rooting for Rosen to take that next step. Just like Tua, you want Fitz to play well. You want everybody. You want Michael Dieter to play well. You want everybody. You want Kalen Ballage to figure it out, dude. You want him to play the way he played in his rookie year. You can't be rooting against Kalen Ballage, as terrible as he was last year. He's wearing a Dolphin helmet, bro. Hell yeah. You got to root for Cam Cameron, as ridiculous as he is. You got to root for him. If not, you're not a Dolphins fan. You can have your opinion and say, hey, I don't think this guy's going to be very good, but you can't root against him. That's impossible.
No rooting for guys that, when they get out in the parking lot from jail, they skip.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. And Myron says the refs won that game for the Clippers. Amen. Let's see. Jay says, good morning, Orlando. I heard Kendrick Nunn said he's not starting tonight. Do you know who is? It's Dragon. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Dragon. It's got to be Dragon.
Considering the way that lineup looked, right? And I guess it's Crowder, correct? With Robinson?
Oh, yeah.
You got to go with that 5.
Yeah, the same
the
five.
the way they clicked.
Right. The 5 that's going on right now. Yes. That makes a lot of sense.
Punch him right in the mouth.
Yep.
Right out the blocks.
Yep. Don't even mention the Astros. NorCal says, unwritten rule, puff, puff, don't give. That's a good one in today's world. Okay? Matthew Walker is right. Smash the like button. Share it. Pass on the link to others out there. Life is a Gamble says, you're gorgeous. Oh, what is wrong with you people out there today? Baseball is dying because they have no fun. That is so true. Good morning from Christopher. Says football season starts in less than a month. Oh, do you like fantasy football? What's the view from the beat writer's standpoint? And Christopher, are you like brand new to the show? Do I like fantasy football? You got to be new to the show, my brother. I love all fantasy sports, bro. I play fantasy in everything, pretty much. So, yes, I do. And we will have a fantasy segment. If we even have a football season, we will have a weekly fantasy segment. I promise you that. Okay? Lisa Rose is in the house. Says, greeting to my fellow Dolphins from the ROC. Sage McKinley says, Big O, you were so right. The Nets caught up with my Raptors, pulled out the win. Yeah, it was what was the score to that game? The Nets are, they're respectable, man. Considering how many guys they're missing their entire team.
What are they missing? 5 or 6 guys?
More than that, I think.
It's more?
Yeah, dude. With the people that opted out and injuries, I
thought they were 6. It's more than 6.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's more than that. I'm telling you. It's crazy stuff, dude. Crazy stuff. Kenneth Cleveland, yeah. Thank you, Kenneth. He says, good morning, Big O. Kenneth Cleveland is live from the new penthouse boom boom room. Everybody on Chatboard gets a free VIP face mask only. Love it. Love it. We've all been invited into the boom boom room. I like it. I like it. Manny J. Snow says, I hear super chat. Toma pa que gozas, I think is what he put there. Vamos a gozar. Okay, I like it. Thank you, Manny. Appreciate you, my brother. Thank you for chiming in and supporting us here on the Super Chat. Like it. Myron goes, O's been doing fantasy before fantasy football.
That is true.
Yeah, I mean.
Started out doing mailers.
No, not only that, dude. On radio, I was the first guy pretty much on radio to do radio shows. I had to fight with my program directors about fantasy football. I remember my owner, Greg Reed, goes, fantasy football? He looks at me, goes, are we narrowcasting or are we broadcasting? And I started laughing, and I go, I'm telling you, this is going to be big. This is going to be enormous. And so then, eventually they gave in and let me do fantasy football, I'm sorry. And then, the rest is history. But like 30 years ago, when was it, what was it, maybe 28 years ago, let's say, when we talk about QAM 27 years ago or something like that. It was one of those battles, dude. It was a battle. First couple years, a battle. Yeah. I remember I had to battle with them so I can hire a stringer, because we would hire, I was the Heat and Dolphins beat guy. So I cover the team every day. Now, when the team's on the road, I would have to hire a stringer to get sound from the locker room, from our locker room on the road, because they weren't going to send, people. So I would do that, right? When the draft started rolling around, I talked them into letting me hire a stringer at the Senior Bowl to get the UM players that were there and any other big names for draft purposes. And they were like, huh, what? And eventually they gave in and let me do it, and then they saw the value out of it, and eventually I started going, obviously. And it's funny now. My stringer in Mobile is Taylor Zarzour. And if any of you know anything about this business for a while now, Taylor has grown himself into one hell of a golf announcer, does college football on Sirius, on all kinds of national outlets, all that. He's grown up big time, and it's funny that almost 30 years ago, Taylor Zarzour and I were just beat guy. I was a beat guy, he was a producer, and I was hiring him to be my stringer at the Senior Bowl before I would go out to the Senior Bowl. So it was funny, but it's just one of those things, man. And I've kind of been, fortunate in that sense that I started the fantasy football thing down here. I'm not telling you I started all over the country, because that's not true. Obviously, I don't know who had it first. I know I didn't, but I know down here I did. Obviously, by miles. It's not even close. And then I started doing electronically. I could tell you that I was the only radio guy that was going to the Senior Bowl and the Combine and all that stuff. And then for years, I've told, people, hey, soccer is growing. It's coming. And eventually now it's here, and they'll have 30 teams in 2 years. And their game attendance on a game-by-game basis average is higher than hockey in the NBA right now. All these kind of things. So I got to say that outside of having foreskin, I've always had to look at each other and say, yo, we got to hold each other accountable. We got to look out for each other. Hey, if you're going out somewhere, well, we need to know about it. And if you're going to do it, then you're going to screw all of us over, because all of us have families. Okay? You have any idea what's going on in the Cleveland locker room right now? Indians locker room?
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of that.
Did you hear about it? The Indians locker room right now has got hell going on because of Clevenger and Plesac leaving. And let me read this story for you, because this is what I'm hoping, okay? Because obviously I'm not rooting against football either. I'm rooting for football. I'm just being objective that this damn virus is going to take over if you don't have a bubble. So the Indians' real-life soap opera right now is going on. Veteran pitcher Oliver Perez threatened to walk out on the team after Plesac and Clevenger broke the COVID protocol. Several Tribe players reportedly went scorched earth on the two aces in the team meeting last week, with guys like Perez and superstar Francisco Lindor going off on them for hanging out with friends in Chicago. While Plesac and Clevenger both tested negative for COVID-19 after the incident, the team's real issue is how the pitchers lied and put the organization at risk, especially since Carlos Carrasco is a cancer survivor. The 39-year-old Perez went as far as to say that he would opt out of the remaining 2020 season if Clevenger and Plesac rejoined the team last week. Of course, the pitchers were demoted to the Tribe's alternate side on Friday and will spend at least 10 days away from the team. Fellow pitcher Adam Pluko went off on the duo last week, saying they hurt us bad. They lied to us. Clevenger later issued a lengthy apology, and Plesac made a video statement while driving his car, saying he felt dragged across the mud by the media. The video didn't go well with teammates either. It's a huge hit to the Cleveland rotation. Clevenger and Plesac were off to great starts, but it's clear most players care more about their health than wins and losses this year. That's my hope for football. That's my hope for football. That Kyle Van Noy walks up to a bunch of the guys and says, hey, don't F around here, bro. Okay? I got a family that I got to go home to. He's got a family. He's got a kid that's got this issue. He's got a wife that's got this issue. You better not bring that shit in this locker room. So leave the IG models, leave all that stuff, leave the clubs. We're playing football for the next couple of months. That's what I'm praying for. I'm praying that men will police their locker room, that guys will respect other people's health and their families. That's what I'm praying for. That's the only way football has a slimmest of chances. They have no bubble, ladies and gentlemen. They've got 80 guys in every locker room. And they leave. And you don't know where they go after that. And you don't know who they hang out with. I have a friend of mine that's on Instagram. He posts pictures every day. Every day I watch him, he's got a picture without a mask. And he's at these sports bars. And he's like taking pictures with the waitresses. They have a mask on and he doesn't. I've seen this for like a couple of weeks now. And he's a friend of mine. Didn't want to embarrass him publicly. But I sent him a text back yesterday. I said, brother, put on a mask. Then he answers back to me, goes, oh, no, man, I always have my mask on. I take it off for the picture. And I sent back to him, I go, that makes no sense. It's called social distancing. Oh, let me take off the mask for a picture. What the F, dude? What are you, crazy? So you're taking off the mask to get next to somebody for a picture. What are you, the Brazilian president? Telling everybody I've got COVID by taking off your mask? It's like, so it really depends on these human beings being responsible and policing themselves. If they're able to do that, then football's got a chance. All right, let's take a break. Don't forget, Craig Zinn, Acura Pembroke Pines, a proud sponsor of our program. RDX is $289, MDX $319, TLX $239, ILX $199. Only $29.99 do it signing plus tax tag and registration. Remember, veterans, all right, military veterans, $750 off. Graduates, $500 off. You can also get as low as 0.9% financing at 15601 Pines Boulevard, just off of I-75 in Pines. Go see Larry Schlossberg and company and make sure you tell them Big O sent you. Whether you're buying or leasing, you can do it at Craig Zinn's. Acura of Pembroke Pines.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com. A travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with 0 down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021 at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
All right, all right, all right. We back. Manny says, I live in Connecticut and we're one of the best in controlling the virus. Wear your effing masks. I just wish they would, man. Just wish they would. Joe Brito says, agree, Orlando. That's the problem. Folks don't give a crap. Be responsible. Good morning, y'all, says Ronald Hubbard from Michigan. Big O, I so appreciate you, my friend. You are way better than Sports Talk Radio here. Please be safe and healthy, everyone. That's very nice of you. Thank you, my man. Very, very nice. Sharif says, I am from the Bahamas. Bill Gates just left here in my hometown. Then all of a sudden, cases of virus went up. Now our celebrities are coming out saying their positive tests are now in quarantine. So I'm draining my people's swamp and sharing QAnon and save our children here in the Bahamas. Okay. All right, Sharif. I hope everything goes well over there, my man. That's the problem when you allow tourists to come in, but you guys live off of tourism. So the Bahamas cannot survive without tourism. So it's kind of a catch-22 that
You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
right,
man.
and I've seen the stories from the Bahamas that they can't allow it to get out of control because they don't have the hospitals. So if they only have a few cases, it gets to a point where that's it. They're already at a serious level of concern. So that's the problem there in the Bahamas. So I know because I've seen the story. So hang in there, Sharif. The thing about this is it's affected all of us, man. The entire world is affected by this. And it's almost impossible to get away with it. Clifton Wellman says, my poor school, UNC, is on fire. Oh, what can I tell you, bro? I mean, that's a state that, they're run by idiots. And they do a lot of stupid things. And they have an attitude, and that's why Texas has gotten so burned in this process. And folks, let me tell you something. They're testing less now. You think they really can track everything by testing less? We haven't tested enough. I mean, the things that they're doing in our government for this whole thing, it's embarrassing. Embarrassing. So this is a major, major problem that is affecting all of us. And it's going to affect us for a long time to come. That's the real problem. The problem is we live in a microwave type society, and we want everything to be over quickly. And we don't realize that this is going to take time to absolutely kill off. I'll give you an example. Let me see here. Here we go. Rob Flynn. I'm not a Machine Head guy. Do you like Machine Head, the band? I'm not really.
They're all right.
I'm not really into the screamers. So I've seen them in concert. I went to Revolution Live because I'd never seen Machine Head, and Greep's like a monster Machine Head fan. So I went with him, and it was all right. I'm again not a Machine Head guy. They're a heavy metal band, but kind of more like a speed metal, death metal type. So Machine Head vocalist and guitarist Rob Flynn says he doesn't see life returning to normal anytime soon. Flynn originally said in April that he didn't see life coming back to normal until 2022, but has since changed his tune to an even worse one. In an interview with Loudwire, Flynn says that he expects COVID and the ensuing damage to last at least 4 years. Now, he's not an expert or anything like that, but he goes, which at this rate may not be far off. He goes, I really can't wait until the day we can all get to a Machine Head show. It's like a religious experience. It's such a community. The crowd singing along, it's such a big part of the show. I talk to people in the industry, and many of the venues are talking about opening up, and they're only going to be able to be at 25% capacity. And I'm like, 25%? That sucks. Everybody mashed up against each other and sweating on each other in a single row. That connection of people is what makes it so much fun. I've been saying this for a while. I said it back in March, and it didn't get very welcome response from the people at large. But I know a lot of people appreciate my honesty about now. This coronavirus is going to go on for probably 2 to 4 years. I don't think it's going to go back to normal. Whatever it is, it's going to be at least 4 years. I think it's going to be very much like the Spanish flu of 1918, where it went on for a couple of years. It's going to come in waves, then it's going to die down, and then another wave's going to come. By the time everybody's done with it, we're all going to be so shell-shocked, probably financially devastated, that it's going to take what happened in 1918, where it took another 2 years for people just to feel safe to go back out again. We're in for the long haul, and I know that's not what people want to hear. People want to hear that it's going to go back to normal by March of next year. If anything, for me, just the way my mind works, knowing that touring is off the table for that long actually puts me more at ease. It puts my mind at ease. Okay, I've got to really figure out something to navigate this as a band and as a band leader. Me and my guys have got to figure out ways to get around this because there's just no way that people are going to be able to get together in groups. It just doesn't make sense for promoters to make money for venues, to make money for bands, and just to survive. So he goes on and talks a little bit about touring and how expensive it is and all of that. But he could be right about this. Look, none of us really know how long this is going to last. But if there are going to be waves like he talked about, then it's gonna last a long time. Okay? And if we don't attack it the right way, there's areas of the country now where we're testing less. And that's not good. We were never testing enough as it is. The guy at the top talks about all the tests we've had. That doesn't mean anything. Okay? We have not tested enough. When you tell me, 5, 10, 40 million people have been tested, bro, there's 330 million people in this country. You got to figure out a way to get mass testing. And for months, we've been doing testing that you don't find out for 5, 7, 8, 9, 12 days later. How can you track anything that way? That's asinine. So you got a stat that's 7 days old? You're not on real time. You have no idea. I think what's going on is there are more people walking around with it that we just don't know, and they don't know. That's what I think is really going on here when it's all said and done. That's what I'm terrified about, actually. Anyway, what the F is up with people thinking Bill Gates is traveling around and spreading COVID? I don't know. I don't know if he's saying that Bill Gates spread the COVID there or got the COVID. I don't know. I'm not sure. Sharif, they want you to enlighten us on all of that. Let's see. What do we have here? Maybe I'm being a pessimist, but I don't think this is going away until next year. I agree. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think we'll be lucky if it's gone by the end of 2021. Okay? Yes, I'm with you there. Because one thing that Rob Flynn said that I agree with from Machine Head is that I believe there are going to be some waves. That we have yet to knock down the first wave, but eventually it'll come back. Okay? I mean, New Zealand. Remember I told you the story about New Zealand last week? They hadn't had a case in like 100 days, right? They got a couple of cases from a ship that came in, a cargo ship, and apparently something, they don't know if it was a person, a product, or something, it spread it to a family of 4, and the family of 4 had not traveled. So they think it came from the ship. Do you know what they did? 4 cases. 4 cases. Not death. 4 cases. Do you know what they did? They shut down the entire Providence. We freak out here because some people freak out here because we ask you to wear a mask to protect others. And millions of people refuse to wear a mask. People freak out because we had to be in homes for a couple months. They think we're taking away their rights and we're putting them in jail or something. No, dude, we're trying to control a pandemic. In New Zealand, they get 4 cases and shut down an entire Providence. 4. Our mayors, they get 4 cases and like, hey, don't worry about it. Let's go open up the strip clubs. Let's do it. That's the difference between a country that actually cares about human beings. They actually care about each other. They're willing to sacrifice for each other so they can stay safe. But then again, New Zealand also sees the clown show we are, and they're like, well, we don't want to become them. So the Kiwis are way smarter than we are. Not about your rights, dude. None of you out there. It's not about your rights. It's about all of us winning and killing off that virus before it kills us. That's what it's all about. DT says the recent spread in New Zealand is now horrible. Says USA has it under control. New Zealand has a total of 18 cases now in the entire country. Yeah, from 4 it went to 18 already. Those 4 spreads a little bit more. And that freaks them out. And it's only 18 cases, like he's saying. But 4 cases shut down an entire Providence. It's nuts, dude. Lewis Bryant, the question is, why is he running around about COVID when he's in Microsoft? Well, actually, he predicted years ago that we were going to get one of these viruses and we weren't prepared. So he's kind of been on target. Oh, today you now have 2.7 subscribers. Yes. Only 300 more for his Culture Club fashion show. All in the Boom Boom Room VIP. Please subscribe. Damn right. Ray says if we're lucky, summer of 2021, once the vaccine is available, it will take at least 6 months to make sure it works. Wear a mask, peeps. Period. There's no way I am touching any vaccine for a while. You think I'm going to take the first rounds of vaccine? Dude, there's no way I'm going to be the guinea pig for those vaccines. I'll wait a while before I have to take that vaccine. Seriously. I'll wear my mask. I'll keep washing my hands. I'll keep my distance from people. I'll keep doing the things I'm doing, trying to stay away from it. You know what I mean? Who knows? Maybe I had it and it was already, went through my system. I have no idea. Joe Brito says, COVID is here to stay. We need the vaccine. Eventually we will get it. The people that don't wear masks, unfortunately, will start wearing masks when it hits home. Yeah, that's usually what's going to happen, Joe. The people that downplay it and don't take it serious, they don't take it serious until they end up suffering from something from it. I would agree with that. You are correct, sir. 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the program, that's 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the program, the other way to reach out to us is on Twitter, and that's at Big O Show. You could also reach out to us on email if you want. The email is orlando@bigoradioshow.com. Vince Beagle has been carted off. That is not good. Appears to be a knee or a leg. That's what we're seeing from Dolphins camp right now. So Vince Beagle carted off with a lower body injury. Man, that's brutal. That's a shame. That's a guy who really, has really come around. Preston Williams not at practice today, according to Cameron Wolf. Shaq Lawson left practice at one point in the locker room, got on a bike, and then he eventually returned. Preston Williams, okay, I don't have any extra insight on this, but he's coming back from a knee injury. I would not be surprised if this has been planned and that he's got the day off, and then he'll be back again tomorrow in practice. That's just me. That is my guess on why, because Preston didn't injure himself yesterday. He looked good, had the 75-yard catch, all that stuff. No, actually, that was Jakeem. But played well yesterday, looked well yesterday. I think it's more of a, it's day two. He's coming back from a knee injury. Let's give him some time. Safid, by the way, says that Tua was more involved in the passing game in 11-on-11s. He said 7 for 7 in completions with fewer handoffs today. Michael Dieter, however, did have 2 botched snaps causing fumbles. So I guess Dieter not doing well at the center spot. It's really a guard. So we'll see. Those are some of the things going on in camp, and not good to hear about Vince Beagle, man. That's a shame. I like that guy. He really looked like a nice addition to the team last year. That's a shame, man. Let's see. Herman says, love when Big O talks Dolphins. Thank you, sir. Gus says, damn, Vince Beagle carted off the field. Yep. Hey, listen, we saw Gerald McCoy for the Cowboys. I just saw also that the Niners, Jalen Hurd, also he may have torn his ACL. Who else I saw that got injured? Somebody else that I know that injured himself too. And so it's already happening, folks. It sucks, but this is part of the game. And we were going to have this, unfortunately. Now, I hope Vince Beagle is, I hope it's just a hyperextension or a knee sprain or something like that. But these guys are pretty good in figuring it out. When they touch your knee and kind of move it, they kind of know what happened. And so it's a shame to see that Beagle was carted off, man. Oh, Trey Waynes suffered has pectoral surgery, out indefinitely. That was the other player I saw. So this is not anything that's new to the Dolphins or anybody else. Cowboys, Bengals, Niners, Dolphins, all have already lost a player now. Although we don't know yet completely about Vince Beagle, but the fact that he didn't get carted off, that pretty much sucks right there. That takes away from one of your pass rushers. So you have one less guy now that can get after the quarterback. Pipe Man Slim says, what's the big O thing? Oh, what's the big O one? Think for the pick. What was that again? Where'd it go? Oh, you retracted the message, Pipe Man Slim. Okay. I heard Omar Kelly is blaming Beagle's injury on Trump. Well, it could have been Trump's fault. I don't know. Maybe Trump can rub some of that orange on his leg and it'll fix it. I suspect the injuries will be worse than normal because there was no OTAs in normal training camp. Raging Dolphin Maniac, when it comes to injuries, I've learned this. It's hard to predict anything, man. There are guys that can play for 25 straight weeks and nothing will happen to them. And there's a guy that just steps on the field and blows out his knee. And it has nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? It's just a weird thing. And you can't really explain it because we get plenty of injuries when we do have mini camps and training camp and then preseason. I mean, was it Shane Verrett, I think is his name, the corner for the Chargers last year? He got injured early in one of the mini camps. He was done. Chargers lost one of their starting corners in a May camp or something. That's crazy. May, June rolls around. You have a passing camp, mini camp, quarterback camp, whatever the hell you want to call it. And there's one of your corners covering a receiver, and he blows out his knee. And you lost your corner like way before even training camp started. So this happens all the time. This is nothing new. All these injuries here, it happens every single year. Now, if we have a ton of injuries, then maybe I can, attribute it to all of this. But it's a weird thing. Sometimes there are times where people go through the rigors of football for several weeks and there are no injuries. And then there are guys that they do nothing and they get injured easily. It's weird. It's hard to explain. How many times have we seen a guy that's just made a cut or something and there was, first game of Raekwon McMillan's career. Special teams, no contact, no nothing. Dude blew out his knee. How do you explain that? It's weird. When it comes to injuries, you could be right that maybe without any training camp, their bodies aren't used to it, and now they've got to go full go and all that, and maybe their bodies aren't ready for it, and they're pulling and stretching ligaments now and popping them because they're doing things and putting torque and pressure and weight on joints and ligaments and everything that they hadn't done in a while. And so something gives. You could be right. You could be right. But I'm not ready yet because I've seen too many weird things now, when it comes to football over the years. Let's see. Between COVID and regular injuries, a lot of teams will need to do what the Dolphins did last year, constantly bring in players throughout the season, at least the Dolphins have the experience. Yes and no. Here's the problem, Rich. Remember, they were bringing them in and playing them the same week. Can't do that with COVID. You got to bring them in and then quarantine them for a couple of weeks. Then you can get them on your football team. That's the problem there. You got to quarantine people. So it's not nearly as easy as it was last year. You're right about that Miami has the well, I already talked about this. The chaotic state of the team last year actually helps out for this year. You know, Flores showed me that he can coach in chaos. So I know he's prepared for all of this crazy stuff. Nobody's better prepared to have a turnover on roster like that guy. Are you kidding me? It's awesome what he did last year. All right, it's 12:05. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break here at the top of the hour. Don't forget, at 1 o'clock, Alan Pupar is going to join us from SI to talk a little Dolphins. Andre Fernandez also will join us to talk a little Miami Heat as they get ready for the Pacers this afternoon. And, of course, you want to reach out to us on Twitter at Big O Show. Send in your questions, your comments. Send them in on the chat board. As always, if you're watching there on the YouTube chat board, the Super Chat. And, of course, if your question's a little longer than normal, you got a picture, video you want to send me, whatever, you can email Orlando at BigORadioshow.com.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with 0 down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021. At Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
back. We're back. If you want to get in, you can chime in on the text line 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the program. Heat gentlemen's sweep with the Pacers, stealing one game. Miami easily covers and dominates tonight. That's, let's see. Let's see. Hopefully that does happen tonight. RVA chiming in says, good morning. Can you see rookie guard Kinley? I think his name is starting. Heard good stuff on him. Kinley's got a lot of talent. I don't know yet. I got to see more. It's, we're into the second day. They're going to experiment with all kinds of guys because they don't know these guys yet. So I would imagine that Solomon Kinley is going to be try to tackle, going to be try to guard. Hunt, same thing. He's going to be tried at multiple positions, just like Dieter is being tried at multiple positions. This is what they do. They experiment. They move guys around until I start seeing, believe it or not, until I start seeing the games, none of us are really going to know what the hell is going on. There are no even preseason games going on. It's crazy. I don't know if they're going to allow the media into any kind of scrimmage because I don't know if they've talked about this yet, but I would imagine that they're going to eliminate the media from practice very soon because pretty soon the practices start that you're preparing for the Patriots. This is what, maybe 2 weeks they'll give them of access, and then the next 2 weeks after that, they may shut it down. And that's when you may find out more about who's the line going to be. That kind of stuff. So I'm telling you, right now, we can't look into any of this. Okay? Michael Dieter, who screwed up 2 snaps, may end up becoming your starting guard. I don't know. I don't know yet. I have no idea. Solomon Kinley may have a rookie deal like everybody else that, he's kind of lost his rookie year. And then maybe he's a freak. Maybe he adjusts quickly. I don't know. I'd love to tell you guys that, the line situation that, Julian Davenport's really challenging Austin Jackson. I don't know. None of us are really going to know until they actually take the field. And then they're playing against real competition. Again, got to give this some time. I get it. We all want answers right away. Just don't expect them. It's just not going to happen. All right? 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the program. That's 786-322-1105. Vince Beagle was carted off the field. Yes, Jose, we know. We talked a little bit about it. Thank you, sir. Big O, is the NFL going to allow bigger rosters? Well, they already have. So they've already enlarged the rosters. Now, they're not going to enlarge too much because, remember, they've got to pay salaries and insurance and all that other stuff. So, yeah, they've already enlarged the rosters and they've enlarged the practice squads. So they will have more people, to fill in spots. And those people don't need to clear COVID because, obviously, if you're on the practice squad, you're practicing with the team and you're cleared and you're tested and all that. So that will be your first level of resource. Then the next one will be the street. But, again, like I told you, there's going to be a quarantine period, right? Because that's the thing for everybody is quarantine. Let's see. What else do we have here? Sharif says, here home in Bahamas, this is crazy. Right after Bill Gates leaves, spike cases and celebs getting it. A dolphin. Okay, well, Sharif, you just repeated what you sent earlier. Are you saying that Bill Gates spread COVID there? Is that what you're saying? Our government has implemented a 7-day lockdown. Okay? Problem is, I don't know if 7 days is enough to lock anything down in today's world. You might have to wait a little longer than 7 days. Hey, listen. I'm not running the team, so I'm not gonna get involved in all of this. It may be mid-season before we know what kind of team we have. You're right. You are so right, because the beginning of the year is going to be a lot like a preseason. You know what I mean? That's what's going to happen.
We didn't know what we had until week 7 or 8 when we started,
right?
And it flipped, and we went 5-4.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, the first 2 weeks were a no-show.
Right.
We should have stayed on the bus.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yep. So far, let's get into a couple things on the Dolphins side. On the quarterbacks, let's talk first about quarterbacks. And I get it, we need instant gratification and people want to find out more. And, you know, Tua did a lot of handing off yesterday. Today he did a little passing. But still, it's going to be a slow process here. They're not going to rush any of this. And what you can't do, okay, is you cannot go out there and go off of a day of practice like it's a bad day or it is the answer to everything that we've been looking for. It's neither one of those. It's just another day of practice, and you don't know what they're trying at that moment. They could be experimenting. Player could be off that day. Player could be on that day and could be playing really well. And they could be just trying you at one position, trying one type of play. There's so much experimenting going on in training camp that it's really hard to get a feel, because maybe the quarterback has a bad day because he didn't play with the better part of the lines today. He played with a part of the second and third teams or something. Didn't play with the upper level receivers. So like yesterday, they dropped a couple of passes for Tua. Not that they were big time downfield passes, but still they dropped a couple of short passes. And so there's a lot to have to analyze, to figure out, to decipher in order to figure out who's playing well and who's not. But you're not going to figure out who's playing well and who's not in the first couple of days of the first week of training camp. You're just not. Quarterbacks are trying to figure out the playbook. They're trying to figure out the timing of everybody. They're trying to, do the handoff as clean as possible, because the way Howard likes it and Breida are two different running backs. And you've got to make sure you know exactly how to do it with each guy so it's a seamless transition. So yesterday when people are saying, well, yesterday Tua, they ran a lot with him yesterday. Well, okay, I get it. You want to see him pass the ball. But it wasn't a bad thing for him to work on the running game and the handoffs to make sure that they're clean. I think it's really important that he does that. But we're not going to find out about Tua in day one or day two. We may not find out about Tua till sometime during the regular season. Once the kid has an offensive line that's settled down, once he has the timing down and comfortable with the offense and comfortable with the defenses that he's going to see week to week, because I guarantee you the QB coach and Fitz are going to sit there and they're going to grill the kid. Him and Josh Rosen. What do you see? What are you supposed to do here? Where am I supposed to throw the ball to? All of these questions are going to be answered every single day, every single week of all these two young guys. But you're not going to find out anything about quarterbacks right now. So don't get depressed about Tua running the ball a lot yesterday And not him physically running. I mean, handing off the ball a lot yesterday and him passing a little bit more today. Don't look into it. And it's great that Rosen hit somebody 75 yards downfield. That's fantastic. But it doesn't mean that Josh Rosen has arrived either. You know what I'm saying? So be patient. Enjoy the ride. Let the guys develop. And I think the coach proved to you last year what the agenda is. He's trying to win. So if Fitz gives him the best chance to win, that's who he's going to play. The moment it's Rosen or Tua, they will get that opportunity also. But don't look into quarterbacks, because I've seen people either write about it, talk about it, and overreact on it. And right now, there's no reason to overreact on anything going on with anybody. The only thing that I will react on is Tua playing and running around, and that means he's healthy. Okay? He can throw the ball downfield. He can move around. He looks good. He looks comfortable. That part I can look into. And the fact that he lined up again today, and if he lines up again tomorrow, and so on and so forth, that's another thing that you're finding out. Okay, the body's holding up. Soreness isn't an issue. No setbacks. None of that kind of stuff. You want to look into something? That's something you can look into. But when it comes to playing the game right now, the Tua Rosen thing is not something that you worry about at this point in time. Way too early. Okay? Flores already proven. He's not going to rush this thing. And I'm glad, because we've seen in the past others try to rush this kind of a situation and they set themselves up for failure. It's nice to know Flores has the comfort zone of actually being able to develop a team. And think about it. He fast-forwarded it a little bit last year, because for them to win 5 games was pretty impressive with that team. Okay?
It's 5 more than you expected.
Damn right. 5 more than I expected. I thought they would win 0 last year. So this is a guy that's going to stay the course, going to try to win games with young people. It's not tanking. It's winning with youth. Kept trying to explain that to people last year. Some didn't want to listen. Others eventually did. How about this? I saw this on the press conference today. Brian Flores showed us another layer of him as a coach today. And we all know Eric Rowe got moved to safety last year. Remember that? When Rowe got moved? And it ended up becoming a blessing for Eric Rowe, for the team. Eric found a home. He was comfortable covering tight ends. He was good at covering tight ends. And we all know how bad that's been for Miami on trying to, hang with tight ends. And so I thought the coach gave us a little piece of him today in the morning, and I thought it was fantastic. Brian Flores revealed that defensive coordinator Josh Boyer had the idea to move Eric Rowe to safety. He says it's a move that paid off because Rowe's play really improved after that position switch. Flores also goes on to mention that he was never thinking of doing that. And I tell you this because this is another example of why Flo is a good coach. He hires people and he respects them enough to listen to them. If you're going to hire people and you're in charge and you're just hiring people that are going to be your yes man, then you're not very secure about what you're doing and you're not looking to be better. Okay? I mean, the great coaches in the history of the NFL usually surrounded themselves with really good assistant coaches because they knew that would make them better. So I know if I hire Bill Arnsberger, that's going to make my team better because he's a great defensive coordinator. So he's going to help me, Don Shula. Okay, he screwed up with Oliver, but still he had it right with Arnsberger. Okay? Or Arnsberger, by the way. And that most coaches, you name them, they usually had pretty damn good assistants. And the great coaches are willing to listen to their assistant coaches. They're willing to listen to players. Shula listened to Marino. Didn't mean they always agreed and all that, but there's a reason why Shula would roll out Marino and say, go ahead, call plays if you have to. And Marino could come to the line and call plays and switch and do whatever, and there was a trust factor. And I thought when Flores revealed that today, it showed me that he's not an egomaniac, that he hires people, will listen to them, and will take their advice. And so to come out and give Josh Boyer, his defensive coordinator, the credit for the moving of Eric Rowe to safety, and the fact that he listened to him and allowed him to do that, and then to say that I had no intentions on doing that. That wasn't my idea. So you're also giving him credit that you never even thought of it. So if you didn't even think about it, you're also willing to do something that you haven't thought about yourself. I thought that was a really cool nugget because it shows you that this coach was, this coach is about winning, and whatever it takes, he's going to do. So if it's a player switch, a coaching switch at the beginning of last year, remember, offensive line coach, he got rid of him quickly. He didn't waste any time. He got rid of one of his friends that he brought from the Patriots at the end of the year. He didn't waste any time. And so now you get Josh Boyer to tell you, hey, coach, I think we should play Eric Rowe at safety. I think he'll do a good job against tight ends. I never thought of that. Let's try it. Boom. Really cool stuff. I thought that was a nice story, and it shows Flo in a good light.
I'm thinking of the guy Needham. How horrible he looked.
Right.
Coach stuck with him.
Yep.
And the guy has turned into a commodity.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I mean, there's several examples like that last year. The guys that got better and better under their system, and they gave them time. Right now, the Dolphins are dealing with an injury at cornerback with Xavier Howard. So now you've got Jamal Perry and Noah and all these other guys that are battling for that spot opposite of Byron Jones. And I saw the coach said that maybe even this could roll into the beginning of the season. He doesn't think so, but it could happen that X could be out for week 1. So if X is out week 1, then that allows these other young guys to kind of elevate their game and try to get in there. But knowing that he's coming back from the knee injury and the COVID issue, you would hope that he would be ready for week 1. Now, the coach says there's still a chance that X could be ready for week 1, which would be nice to have X against the Patriots. We definitely could use that. All right, let me tell you about Toyota of Hollywood. We love talking about Steve Ostrov and all the amazing people out there. Herbie Lopez, Lori Rodriguez, Joel Rubio, Azric Smith, Gary Thompson. Great people out there, man. 1841 North State Road 7. Make sure you tell them that Big O sent you. I promise you, man. Go see Steve Ostrov and company. They will take care of you buying or leasing at Toyota of Hollywood.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with 0 down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021 at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This
All right, we back. Thank you for waiting. See this article you sent me on Vegas, my man. Thank you very much. Appreciate you, Gus. Not good, huh? Not good. Cell phone data shows how Las Vegas is gambling with lives across the country. Gus 1388 just sent me this story. Listen to this. Las Vegas casinos reopened June 4th, and they've become likely a hotbed for the spread of the coronavirus. But if tourists return home and then test positive for COVID-19, the limitations of contact tracing in the midst of a pandemic make it unlikely such an outbreak would be identified. Contact tracing, one of the pillars of stopping the pandemic, is a labor-intensive process where a health official tracks down anyone who's been in contact with an infected person and takes steps to prevent the disease spread. But there's no national system in place for contact tracing, Joshua Michaud said, and an associate director of global health and policing for the Kaiser Family Foundation. It's decentralized and performed by local health agencies that may not communicate with each other, especially given their caseload. So if a casino had a cluster outbreak, a super spreading event among visitors, it's unlikely contact tracing would catch it. This way, the way it's set up now, contact tracers are not looking for clusters. They might identify outbreaks tied to traveling to a casino or other specific locations. You're not actively looking for it, so you might miss that event. Contact tracing is not set up to answer those questions, so you'll still be in the dark. A new analysis of smartphone data conducted by ProPublica's request shows how interconnected the country is with visitors to Las Vegas, which heightens concerns about the limitations of interstate contact tracing. The companies X-Mode and Tektronix analyzed travel to and from Las Vegas during 4 days, a Friday to Monday in mid-July, in compliance with privacy laws. X-Mode collects data from smartphone users, mainly those using fitness and weather apps that track their location. The data represents about 5% of the smartphone users in the United States. They analyzed the data and visualized it on a map. During a 4-day period, about 26,000 devices were identified on the Las Vegas Strip. Some of those smartphones also showed up in every state on the mainland except Maine. Oh, so you Maine people don't party. In those same 4 days, about 3,700 devices were spotted in Southern California. In the same 4 days, 2,700 in Arizona and 740 in Phoenix. Around 1,000 in Texas, more than 800 in Milwaukee, Detroit, Chicago, and Cleveland, and more than 100 in the New York area. Wow. So the cell phone analysis highlights a reason the virus keeps spreading. So all these people go to Vegas. It's kind of like what happened in South Dakota this past week. It'll be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of weeks in South Dakota. So all the people go to Vegas. If they contract it, then they go out everywhere else and back to where they were and spreading it. It is a cycle. It's a vicious cycle that we're in. And we can't clear the damn cycle because we refuse to. Thank you, Gus. Appreciate you sending that, man. Very nice of you. But very disturbing, too, at the same time, to know that is what's coming. Yeah. All right, 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the program. That's 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the show. Let me give you a little music news. Let's start off with a little music history. First of all, in 1969, on this date, Crosby, Stills, Nash played at Woodstock at 3 a.m. with a newly added member, Neil Young. It marked the second public gig with them together. In 1962, on this date, Ringo Starr made his debut with the Beatles. In 1977, The Police made their live debut as a three-piece band in Birmingham, England. In 1969, on this date, Mick Jagger was accidentally shot in the hand while filming the movie Ned Kelly. And in 1986, Bon Jovi released Slippery When Wet. The album eventually went 12 times platinum. That's when Bon Jovi used to make really good music. This shirt, I think this was like one of the mediocre concerts I've been to last few years for Bon Jovi. Now, you want to laugh, Bill? Are you ready for this? On this date in 95, okay? Listen to this crazy bitch. During the last night of the Lollapalooza tour in Mountain View, California, security guards had to carry a crying Courtney Love off stage after she began fighting with Hole fans, accusing them of not cheering loudly enough.
It's weird. I had this inkling that you were going to mention Courtney Love. I'll never forget that. What was it, New Year's Eve, MTV, when she saw Madonna and climbed the scaffolding?
Yeah.
And the way they're looking like.
And she drop like an F-bomb or an S-bomb?
Yeah,
or
and
something?
it was like everybody's looking like, you weren't invited. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah. I've never liked her, bro. I've never liked her at all. She just rubs me like scum.
She's trailer trash.
Yes, no, total trailer trash. Total. I don't know. Maybe even my man is alive if he doesn't meet her. I don't know. Cobain just, I don't know. I wouldn't want to be married to that. But anyway, it is what it is. 1950, Dennis Elliott celebrates a birthday today. He is the drummer of the American rock band Foreigner. In 1953, Marvin Isley was born, of course, from the Isley Brothers. They started in 1959 back in the day. 1969 is Eric Shroudy's birthday today. He was born on this date in 69. He's the Irish-American rapper, singer, songwriter of House of Pain. Jump around. Every time I saw that video, that was like the place, that was a bar I did not want to go to. It's just that dude looked like a skinhead. It kind of looked like a skinhead bar, right? It just, the impressions of that bar in Jump Around were not good. That's all I got to say. It's just, I'm just saying. It's kind of weird, In good news, which, I wish it would never happen. It happens way too much in this genre of music because they're constantly killing rappers, which is just the weirdest thing in the world. It doesn't happen in rock. We don't kill our rockers. We don't kill our country stars. We don't kill our R&B stars. We don't kill our pop stars. We don't kill our classical stars. We don't kill alternative, indie, you name it. But damn, rappers, we're killing rappers every other week, okay? Small rapper, medium rapper, big-time rapper, all kinds of rappers. I think from the 80s, I think the number is in the high 70s or 80s now of rappers that have been killed. I'm not talking about ODing. ODing happens in every walk of life, okay? Music, acting, life, you name it. Oh, I'm talking about murder, okay? Murder. I can't explain it, but it always happens in this genre of music more than anything else, which is just freaking ridiculous. But Jam Master Jay, the DJ for Run DMC, was killed in his studio in Queens nearly 20 years ago. Shrines to Jay, whose real name is Jason Mizell, popped up in bar shops and on street corners. People want to know who could have gunned down a peaceful, old-school DJ whose group mostly rapped about sneakers, girls, and basketball. Over the next 2 decades, Mr. Mizell's murder achieved a mythical status as one of rap world's coldest cases. There were plenty of leads, but none of them resulted into charges until now. Yesterday, city and federal officials announced that they had charged 2 men who had long been suspects in the case. The authorities blame the fatal shooting on a cocaine deal gone wrong. The two men, Ronald Washington and Carl Jordan Jr., were charged with murder while engaging in drug trafficking in a 10-count indictment unsealed Monday in the U.S. District Courts in Brooklyn. Mr. Jordan pleaded not guilty in his arraignment Monday. Mr. Washington was expected to be arraigned later this week. Both men face minimum sentences of 20 years in prison if convicted. Without going into specifics, the acting U.S. attorney in Brooklyn acknowledged that the authorities face serious challenges in pursuing the case since Mr. Mizell was killed in late 2002. Mr. Ducharman credited Queens detectives, the FBI agents, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives for their persistent investigation. This is a case about a murder for nearly 2 decades has gone unanswered. Today, we begin to answer that question: who killed Jason Mizell and why? Apparently, Mr. Washington and Mr. Jordan, both of them armed, broke into Mizell's studio at Merrick Boulevard in Jamaica, Queens, at 7:30 p.m. October 30th of 2002. As Mr. Washington forced someone inside the studio to the ground at gunpoint, the papers say Mr. Jordan fired a bullet into Mizell's head, killing him almost instantly. They walked in, murdered him in cold blood. Prosecutors said the two men had executed Mr. Mizell after he sought to exclude them from a multi-kilogram, multi-state narcotics transaction. In July of 2002, just months before the murder, court papers say Mr. Mizell had received about 10 kilos of cocaine on consignment from a supplier in Maryland. Mr. Washington and Jordan were supposed to have been his partners in the deal, the papers say, but after a dispute, which was not described, Mr. Mizell threatened to cut them out. There was a beef. It didn't go as planned. Mr. Washington, 56, is currently serving a federal prison sentence for 6 robberies. Mr. Jordan was taken into custody on Sunday. So there you go. So the good thing is they found the 2 guys. Let's hope these are the 2 guys. Let's hope that Mizell's family can get a little closure on this. We're not going to bring Jason back, unfortunately. And I had no idea that Jason Mizell was a drug dealer also, on top of all of that. Kids, don't deal drugs. Okay? Don't deal drugs. Ah, Lordy. I think it's time now for me to give my picks. We went 2-2 yesterday against the spread. And just to give you the recap, just in case you did not listen yesterday, we took the Jazz plus 4.5, had that game until it went to overtime. Went to OT, Nuggets pulled away, lost it. We had the over in 221.5, Nets Raptors. It went like 240 something or whatever. It went way over. Raptors did win by more than the 10 points, so they would have covered. But we only took the over, so we won. We went 1-1. Then we were feeling really good about ourselves because the Celtics, even losing Gordon Hayward, still won by 5.5. They won by 8, so we were 2-1. And then yesterday we were feeling good, man. Mavs were actually in control of that game, and then Porzingis got ejected after he got his second technical foul, and the game completely changed. Mavs lost by 8. I got 6, unfortunately, so we lost that one. We ended up going 2-2. Not my fault, I'm telling you, man. Should have had at least a 3-1 record yesterday. 3-1.
Somebody should have to pay the vig for you, man.
I know. Damn referees. Bastards. Anyway, let's go with our games here. Bucks are favored over Orlando, 12.5. The over and under is 225 points. The Bucks are minus 1070. 1,070. So I think it's a shoo-in that they're going to win. I'm not going to tell you to take the money line because that would be crazy-ass odds. But I am going to tell you that you need to stay away from this game. I think the Bucks can get bored with this game and allow Orlando to come in within the 12.5. but they could easily lose it. So it's one of those where I just want to stay away from the number in this game. Yes.
So you don't think that, like the way the Orlando team from the MLS got all the way to the finals, that they'll be like this miraculous, they're playing in their backyard?
Oh.
Not for the Magic, huh?
No, not going to happen. Not going to happen. No, not at all. Not at all. But I will say this. I'm going to go with the over 225. Okay? I think they will score enough points. I think Orlando will be able to score somewhere in that 105 range, 110, and I think the rest, I think the Bucks obviously will be in the 120. So I think they will get over 225. So I'm going to go over 225 in that game. Heat favored by 4.5 over the Pacers. The over and under is 215.5. Pacers are plus 170. The money line is Heat minus 200 in this game. Stay away from the money line, but I do like the Heat minus 4.5. I think they win this game plus 5 or more. So I am going to go the Heat, lay the 4.5 in this one, and enjoy the win. And they'll be 1-0 when it's all said and done. Rockets, no Westbrook. So now that there's no Westbrook and there's only a Harden, the Rockets have actually played really well this year. And the Thunder have actually played really well this year with CP3. Rockets are going to be missing one of their two guns. Thunder are now favored by 2 in this game. It's crazy. I don't think there's going to be defense in this game. I'm going to go over 225.5 here. 225, sorry, not a half. 225 over. The Thunder minus 2, it's a scary number, man. That game can go either way. I don't feel confident in that one. Thunder, by the way, are minus 130. Rockets are plus 110. The other game, Lakers and the Blazers. Lakers are favored by 5. I don't care what you tell me about the Lakers, that they didn't look good in the bubble. They didn't have to play for the number 1 seed. There's no home court advantage, okay? The Lakers coasted, dude. They will now start to play some ball. Now you're going to see LeBron, because LeBron's not going to allow the team to kind of be, up and down like they were in the bubble games. Now you're going to see the real Laker team. Now you're going to see the real LeBron. He's going to come out like gangbusters. I love that the number is at minus 5. I think they're going to kick the Blazers' ass by 10. I really do. I think people have underestimated the Lakers. I don't think they saw what happened in the regular season, I guess. They forgot. And you go by the bubble games, there's no home court anymore. What the hell was LeBron fighting for? He was fighting for home court. That's why he came out like a maniac at the beginning, to get ahead on the Clippers and make them play catch up. But once you went to the bubble, what motivation do the Lakers have at that point? That's what you saw in the bubble for 8 games. You saw a Lakers team that wasn't motivated. The Heat lost a game on Friday. They didn't care if they dropped to the 5th seed. 4th, 5th, what the hell's the difference? You don't have home court. Right, if I'm correct, didn't the Heat drop to 5? I think. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yes, we did.
Right? I'm pretty sure.
We went into the game tied.
Right.
And we lost.
Right, yeah. So they went, and the Heat didn't care.
We were looking to bring up guys from the G League.
Yeah.
It was 15, 14, 13, those guys on the bench.
Do you think that if the Heat actually gave a rat's ass, they would have lost that game? If the home court mattered at that moment, don't you think the Heat, yeah, they did. They dropped to the 5th spot. They would have busted their asses to win that game on Friday. Bet your life on that. But the Heat had no motivation. They actually gained draft position by losing. They won by losing. killing yourself to win a game that you have no home court advantage made no sense whatsoever. So I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. Oh, the Lakers are done. The Lakers don't look good. The Lakers look unmotivated. Dude, the Lakers are coasting. Now you're going to see a different Laker team tonight. Lay the 5 points. They'll beat the Blazers by 10. Okay? So I'm going over 225 Orlando and the Bucks. I'm going Heat minus 4.5 against the Pacers. I'm going Thunder Rockets over 225. And I'm going Lakers minus 5 in this game tonight. Those are my picks. Love it. And hopefully the referees won't affect my game today. Okay, like they did yesterday, that I could have gone 3-1, and I would have been nice and happy with 3-1. Because 3-1 is pretty damn good. Okay? Did you see the CFL canceled their season?
Yeah, I did see that on the ticker watching all the sports last night.
Randy Ambrosie, the CFL commissioner, shoulders the blame for the Grey Cup not being handed out for the first time in more than 100 years. The CFL canceled its season Monday due to COVID-19 pandemic, meaning the Grey Cup won't be presented for the first time since 1919. The decision comes after the CFL was unable to secure financial assistance from the government. The league sent Ottawa an amended request August 3rd for $30 million interest-free loan, but the sides couldn't agree to the terms. It was the CFL's last-ditch effort to stage an abbreviated season in the hub city of Winnipeg. It came after the league asked for $44 million in July. I do feel I'm responsible for the fact that we are not on the field this year, but I resolve to learn from what we've experienced, and I'm looking forward to a bright future. I think we're all watching an example of the world stage today of a leader that takes no responsibility for anything, and no matter what happens, I won't be that guy. Wow, we got the CFL commissioner trashing Trump.
Are you sure? Are you sure that was directed at Trump? Are you sure? Is that what you think? Is that what you're surmising from that comment?
So amazing, bro, how the rest of the world just laughs at us, man. We are an absolute joke.
You know what we need to do? We need to take a break so we could get ready for Alan.
Yes, let's do that. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side. We're gonna talk to Alan Poupart now. We're gonna talk a little Miami Dolphins football. We do that next.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with 0 down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021. At Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
All righty. Promised you we're going to talk a little football. And, of course, Alan Poupart does an excellent job of covering the Miami Dolphins for a long, long time. Follow him on Twitter at @PoupartFins. Catch his work at Sports Illustrated. Mr. Poupart, how are you doing, sir? Good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon to you too, Big O. How you doing?
I'm doing exceptional, my man. Let me ask you, because you and I have been around the block a couple times. Do you laugh at people at this point when they start to make some kind of determination on the offensive line in day 1 or 2 of any kind of training camp at any time, at any point, when we know that there's all kinds of experimentations going on with offensive line early on in a training camp?
Happens every year, doesn't it?
I know.
And it's not just the offensive line, it's everywhere. It's everything. It's dissecting every single solitary throw that Tua is going to make. Oh, my God, he looks awesome. Wow, he didn't complete every single pass. He's going to be a bust. Instant analysis, instant reaction, hot takes, overreactions. It's getting progressively more intense, or you might want to say worse, actually.
Yeah, it gets ridiculous. I think it gets to a point where it's just absolutely ridiculous, where we, yesterday, Tua just handed off, and it's like, okay, dude, relax. That's actually important that he's got different running backs. He actually needs to get that timing and make sure he does that right. There's actually method behind the madness to everything that they're actually doing. You know what I mean? Like, some people may look at it as a negative. It's actually not a negative. Yeah, I get it that you brought the quarterback to throw the ball, but there's actually timing and characteristics that are different from one player to another. One's taller, one's shorter, one's bigger. So you got to learn how to just hand off the right way. You know what I mean? That was important yesterday, what he did.
No, and it's the kids' first NFL training camp. It was the first padded practice. They've been actually on the field doing practices, I mean, just for a few days. The last week was more like an OTA type of thing. So, I mean, seriously, everything's a process, as you mentioned. It's not going to happen overnight. That's why they usually have an off season with spring practices, and a slow build up to the first preseason game, and then they tweak and adjust and intensify all to get ready for the start of the regular season. And this year it's obviously very different because of the COVID situation, but there's still a process that has to take place.
Yeah, I'm with you. And having said that, what is your guesstimation on when he settles in for certain things, whether it's the line? We all know that Fitzpatrick is going to be the start. Those of us that have common sense, Fitzpatrick will be the starter in week 1, because that's what a normal, intelligent coach would do, is start the veteran that's been there and done it, especially behind a line that's actually practically new out there. But he's got to settle on 5 guys. When is that, do you think? Because I'm sure he hasn't given you guys a date either.
No, that is funny. No, he has not given us a date. And if we were to ask, it would be, I don't think he'd give us a specific timetable, and I don't think he has one. It may be all the way to the week of the regular season opener. There's no rush. The idea is that to get it as perfect as possible, or as good a combination as you can have with the guys that they have. And there's going to be a lot of experimentation throughout these practices. You're going to see guys move from one spot to the other, different guys practicing with each unit. And my guess, like I said, wouldn't surprise me in the least if we didn't have a clear understanding of what the starting offensive line is going to look like until that week of preparation for New England, September 13th.
Then the flip side, obviously, is the quarterback stuff. How do you look at it? Because obviously Rosen, had a nice pass last week, and I love the story of Rosen running the passing camps or drills or practices in the offseason because Fitz was out of town, and Rosen kind of connected with guys. You've been around this team. It seems to me like Rosen is doing his best, too, to kind of grow as a human being.
No, I mean, he's like super smart. So he's got that going for him. I like the kid. I liked him from the time he got here last year. So I don't have an issue with that. And the thing with him, you mentioned he threw like a great pass yesterday. That's nothing new. I mean, the guy looks the part. You watch him in practice, throw the ball. I mean, that ball comes out of his hand with some zip. So that's never been in question. He's got some mobility. He's got the good size. He's got everything you would want physically. The problem with him, as we saw last year, is when the game starts, the processing time in the pocket's just not there, and that's not going to get it done. The thing is, we haven't seen him in a game since last October, I believe it was, while he played against Indy, but basically he handed off while Fitz wasn't getting checked out for a concussion. But in terms of legitimately being in the game, was last October, last time we saw him. After that, all the practices were close to the media, so we couldn't even see in practice what he looked like in terms of the decision-making. And if you're going to ask the coaches for public comments on those players in situations like that, what are they going to say? They're going to say the same thing every single time. He's making progress. He still needs things to work on. That's what you're going to get 99.9% out of 100. 90% of the time, because that's what coaches are going to do. So the truth is, we don't know if his processing time, his decision-making in the pocket is any better than it was early last year. And if it isn't, then he's going to continue to have problems. If it is, again, he's got all the physical traits to work with.
When you watched both guys yesterday, Rosen and Tua, was there a way they were breaking it down? Was one being used ahead of the other, or was it an equal thing with the two guys?
I would not be allowed to tell you, even.
Oh, that's right.
Even if yeah, that's part of the restrictions they had put on us. So,
okay.
I'll defer on that question.
Okay. All right. No, that's it. We got to follow the rules. The rules are the rules. So if you guys are going to have, by the way, how long are you guys going to have access? Because I'm thinking it's not very long, because at one point or another they're going to tell you we're preparing for the Patriots. All you're doing from now on is taking a little attendance during stretching, and you're out of there. How long will you guys have access, by the way?
It's 2 weeks,
okay.
And then it's regular season mode.
Right. Yeah, it figures that. All right, so 2 weeks. Okay, I got that. The other thing I thought was fantastic was this morning. I saw your tweet where the coach gave Josh Boyer the credit for the Eric Rowe call. And I don't know if you saw the retweet I put back to you at it. And I to me, that was an awesome nugget, because it shows me that the coach isn't an egomaniac, and that he, everybody has an ego, obviously. You don't get to that point without an ego. So they all have egos, but his ego isn't big enough that he's not willing to hire people and actually listen to them and take their advice. Whereas I think Nick Saban wasn't great at taking others' advice in the building. You know what I'm saying? So I've heard stories of Randy Mueller coming out with his draft reports, and then Saban going, oh, okay, I got mine. And, it's like, all right, it's over, Randy. And so I thought it was awesome, first of all, that he is willing to publicly give somebody else credit for that move. The fact that he took the advice just shows me that this guy – this guy gets it, bro. I like him.
Oh, no, I loved it too. It also shows self-confidence in that you're not threatened by the notion that somebody came up with the idea that maybe you should have come up with because you're the head coach. So that was very, very impressive. And I can't help but wonder, considering how well that switch worked, and it worked fabulously because Rowe was not playing well at cornerback early last season. And when he switched over to safety, he became really, really good. And I can't help but wonder whether maybe that was one factor, perhaps significant factor, that led to the decision to make Boyer the defensive coordinator this year after he was coaching the secondary and the pass game as a pass game coordinator last year.
That's an interesting point on your part there. Why not reward a guy that has? I mean, hell, Alan. Dude, I think Eric Rowe's not even on this team if he's still a corner at this point. They probably cut him at corner. He ends up going to safety and getting a new contract out of the whole thing, and new life, to his, because his corner position, since he's been in the league, early on he was all right, but then after that he's kind of been up and down at that position. He might not even be on this team right now if it was
no question.
Corner, right?
No question. And remember, when he signed with the Dolphins last year, he signed a 1-year contract. It was basically show us and we'll reward you. And, yeah, he wasn't getting a new contract the way he was playing a cornerback. Not even a question about it. And when he started balling out at safety, it was like, oh, yeah, we need to keep this dude.
Alan, we heard about Vince Beagle today getting carted off. And, hopefully it's not too serious, but obviously he looked pretty dejected the way you see things. Andrew Van Ginkel's a guy that I absolutely loved. I saw a little bit of the kid, and I could see what they see in him. What do you see in this young man? Because this is the kind of guy I should be following, Van Noy all over the place so he can try to absorb as much as possible.
Yeah, he really impressed me when he came back last year during training camp. And again, it's training camp. We need to take it for what it's worth, but there was nothing special about him, and maybe his head was swimming and he couldn't really perform up to his ability because of that. But when he came back off IR and then played a little bit down the stretch, I think I remember it was the Giants game where he may have made a play that was really impressive, the way he got off the line of scrimmage against New England also. But down the stretch, I looked at this guy and it was like, this guy's a factor for 2020, no question. You mentioned Van Noy as a guy. I'm not totally convinced that he's the same type of player because Van Noy is a lot more well-rounded, versatile as a type of player. In fact, Van Noy in his Zoom media session yesterday made the point he considered himself part of a dying breed of a linebacker who can do all three, stop the run, dropping coverage, and blitz. Not sure if Van Ginkel's quite that well-rounded, but there's some explosiveness to the way he gets off the line of scrimmage, and I think the Dolphins would do well to give him a long look and see how much he can help on defense.
Yeah, I didn't mean like he needs to mirror him as a player. I just think that he needs to mirror him because he's the guy that knows the defense, has the experience. Just pick his brain is what I'm saying. Because
sorry, my bad. Yeah.
No, but it's cool. It's cool. It's understandable. But I just like Van Ginkel. I just hope that this is a kid because obviously you felt the same way. It just looked like a kid that, you know what, there's something there, and you realize why they draft. And because this defense is a little different, you need guys that are a little bit more multifaceted. And that did show in his game that he can do a little bit more.
Yeah, no question. It's also a defense that's going to use a whole lot of players. So the more good player, you need to have a lot of good players on that defense because outside of the secondary, your front seven guys are going to be rotating in and out like crazy. So you need a lot of guys who can do some things and make an impact in some way. And I think he's definitely one of those guys.
Preston didn't practice today. I haven't heard anything, but I'm assuming that he's coming back from a knee injury. So this was kind of a day off type thing. See how he reacts off of all of that. Do you get kind of the same impression? Because I haven't read anything yet on why he missed practice, but I'm just assuming that that's what it is because that's normally what they do with some of these guys coming back from serious injuries.
No, correct. That would make perfect sense. I mean, there's nothing that happened in practice yesterday that would suggest that he sustained some kind of injury. So it would make, like you said, perfect sense. Hey, just the fact that he didn't start training camp on PUP the way X started training camp on PUP was really, really positive sign. And as you said, there's not a lot to say. He actually was returning punts yesterday, so if there was a whole lot of hesitation about how his knee was going to respond, I don't think they would have put him back there. So that's good news, and then there's no reason for the Dolphins not to be very careful with that guy after what he showed you last year. You know the kid can play. So now it's just about getting him completely physically ready to go for the start of the regular season.
How did he look to you? Because, God, he looked so good last year. Did he look
No, he looked
explosive?
Fine. I'm not explosive. I'm not sure it's explosive because I don't even know if I found him explosive last year. He's just a guy who can make tough catches and can get open. There was one play yesterday where he made a great adjustment on a back shoulder pass from Fitzpatrick with really good coverage. That was a really impressive catch that not every wide receiver would make.
Yeah. Oh, I got to tell you, for his size, hell, I think he's pretty explosive for his size. He's pretty quick. For a big dude like that, he can move, man. I mean, that kid, I know he had the off-the-field issues, and that's why he fell out of the draft, but damn, dude, this guy is talented.
what I like about him is he's got great body control. That's to me,
Yes.
that's his biggest singular skill. He's got great body control. He can twist and adjust to different passes depending, regardless of where they're thrown.
What'd you think of the coach today talking about X? And I know X is coming back from the injury, the COVID stuff, and there's kind of maybe a little doubt that maybe he's not ready for week 1. What do you read into that?
I don't read anything into it because the comments were basically from Flo that he's preparing with the guys he has on the field right now, which, again, this is exactly what you expect any coach to say. In fact, there were previous coaches here who would tell you I'm only talking about the players who were here.
Right.
So in his case, he's just basically saying, and think about it, it makes perfect sense for him. Just let me worry about the guys who are here, because I think we pretty much can assume that when X shows up, if he's healthy to go, he's lining up as one of the starting cornerbacks, and we're pretty safely can assume that Byron Jones is going to be the one on the other side. So that's not an issue, but obviously you have to prepare for every contingency, and one of those is that, yeah, sure, there's a possibility that X might not be ready for the start of the regular season, because I mentioned it was great news that Preston Williams didn't start training camp on PUP while X did, and that was kind of troubling considering he had yet another knee operation last December.
Yeah, and that's why I asked you, what do you read into it? Because by now he should be ready to go, because he didn't have major reconstructive knee surgery. He had a scope. So you'd figure that he would be ready by now. To tell me that, he's still on the sidelines and there's a chance he couldn't be ready for week 1, then we're not talking COVID or anything. We're talking about a lingering issue here, is what it seems like.
He's on the COVID list. He can't be at the facility anyway. Which, if you use the logic there, that means they can't test him to see if he passes the physical for them to get him off PUP. So I think what needs to happen first is he needs to clear whatever he needs to clear to get off the COVID list. Then they can see if he's ready to be taken off PUP.
I got you. All right. Alan Poupart, by the way, joining us. You can catch his work at Sports Illustrated as he covers the Dolphins on a daily basis. He's a must-follow at A. Poupart Fins. One more thing. Changes in the coaching staff in the offseason, obviously, a couple tweaks. But one of the things I talked about last year, it was so chaotic from week to week, finding people off the street, starting them even in the same week, all of those kind of things. Do you almost get a feeling that Flores is one of the guys that's actually suited for this crazy-ass year that they're about to try to take on in COVID-19, where we see it with baseball, you could have a lot of people getting filtered in and out?
Well, they sure got a lot of practice out of last year, didn't they? And here's the thing, too, is look at their transaction log. They're treating that roster pretty good this year, too. And bringing in guys in and out. I think they picked up 3 guys off waivers from different teams over the past couple of weeks. So, and to be honest with you, I'm a little bit surprised. I thought there would be a little bit more stability in terms of what they do with the roster, but apparently, they keep looking for those young guys, thinking maybe some other team missed something in them, that they can work with them and get something out of them. But absolutely, the fact that they went through so many players last year, that if, in the event that some necessary adjustments have to be made because of this COVID situation at any point during the regular season, they are absolutely well equipped to deal with those.
All right, Alan, before I let you go, my brother, one more thing. How are you viewing the football season? Like, for me, this is what I'm trying to ask you. Like, for me, I don't think college, I don't care what the SEC and ACC and Big 12, they're going to get shut down because 100 kids are going to be hard to control. They're going to want to party, and they're going to spread that COVID. And you're already seeing it in universities. They've got thousands of kids already on quarantine, and they've been only open for a week, and they've had to shut down several. The NFL, I saw what happened with the Indians with Clevenger and Plesac, and now the players in that clubhouse are super pissed at those guys because they lied and they went out of their pseudo bubble that they have. And so there's kind of like a tight-knit thing that they're trying to develop on all these baseball teams to try to keep everybody at bay and say, hey, let's focus on the season and let's not party. Will football be able to pull that off? Because I don't think it's possible in college, and I give the NFL a slim shot only because these guys all need to earn money to pay for their wives and girlfriends and houses and cars and all that. So I can see these guys trying to sacrifice it. And I know you and I need football to survive. It's not like we're rooting against this. But can the NFL work without a bubble?
Pretty sad that we have to preface this conversation by saying that both you and I we're not rooting against football shutting down.
No, because you know how it is. People then think.
I know. That's
like, you don't want college football to happen. No, dude, it's not. I don't want college football to happen. It's just I don't think any coach can control 100 penises on a college campus. I'm sorry. I don't see it happening. You know what I mean? But in the NFL, it's a little different. It's grown-ass men, so I give them a slim shot. How do you view it?
No, I was making light of those stupid Twitter comments, those hot takes that like sports writers are like rooting against football. Dumbest thing ever. Here's the other thing about the NFL too is if you look at how structured everything is in the NFL, what kind of discipline it takes to have that as your job, basically, where everything is like this tight schedule, a lot of rules to follow, and everything like that. And then with the money involved, I think, yeah, absolutely, there is a shot that NFL players will be disciplined enough to do what they need to do to not put anybody at risk. The one Seattle player, notwithstanding, with the buffoonery of dressing up a girl in a Seahawks jersey or and sneaking into their hotel or something to that effect. That story is crazy. But I think overall, you're dealing with guys who are used to sacrificing for their career to enhance their career. And when now you're talking about other people who you could affect if you act irresponsibly, I think there's a very good chance that it could be pulled off in terms of players doing what they need to do and not to put anybody else at jeopardy for unnecessary reasons.
All right, so off the beaten path, were you happy that the Panthers did what they did? Because I know I was.
You mean losing 4 to the Islanders?
No, definitely not that. You know what I'm talking about? Firing.
I know what
firing Dale Talon.
Well, if I knew for a fact what moves were his and what moves came from other powers that be in the organization, it would be clear to have a picture of what exactly who needs to be blamed. But the thing is, the bottom line is they are very poorly constructed if they hope to make deep playoff runs. It's a skilled team that has a lot of softness to it. Totally and they're not skilled enough to overcome that softness when they get to the playoffs.
Yeah, totally. It's funny. The guy that has the most fire on offense is the guy they traded, Vinny Trocheck.
Yeah, but he's also really small, and he's not built for the playoffs either.
I know. I get it. But he's the guy. I just wish I would get his fire and put it inside Barkov, because Barkov is so freaking talented, but there is no dog in the guy. You know what I'm saying? He's just Mr. Nice Guy, and he's maybe too freaking nice or something. I don't know what. Even when they lose, I don't see him pissed off enough about losing. You know what I'm saying? It's confusing, yet I know the good Lord blessed that guy with sick ability. You know what I'm saying?
No question about it. But, and I'm not sure he's not the biggest problem. That's the thing.
Oh, no.
And they have other guys who are bigger issues than him. But I'm with you. Like, it's crazy because when he first got to the NHL, which was like, when we're talking 8 years ago, he was like a grown man playing in the NHL, and I just don't know how much his game has really evolved since then. He was like, and this is not to say he's not a great player. He's a great player, but I keep waiting for a little bit more. I keep waiting for him to like take over a series.
He's not that. He's got no dog in him, bro. No.
I agree.
He's got no dog in him. He put it. I've said this many times. He cannot be your number one player. He has to be the number 2 player. You need to go find a guy that can score and is like, just a hellraiser, bro. somebody that just has some fire to him. And God bless Barkov. He's so talented, but there's no fire in that guy at all, bro. It's crazy.
I can't argue with you. I can't argue. I wish I could, because I love his game. It's a fabulous two-way game, but no, he's way too mellow.
Yeah, and put it this way, you forgot more about hockey than I'll ever know. So if you can't argue with me on that, you know that I once in a while I get it right. And so there we go. I got it right.
And you know I'd love to argue with you on this, but I can't.
Well, you could prove me wrong 8 times over because you know way more than I do. But I had to ask you because I'm glad that at least they made the change. Hopefully they can get somebody that brings in I don't know what it is, man. It's almost like when they lost Goodbranson, and I'm not saying he's the answer, but at least he brought that aura, that toughness, that when they lost that guy, they lost any kind of edge they had to this team. And they got to find that edge.
Hated that trade with a passion, and it was made all because of what I think is one of the most overrated things in sports, analytics. Right. Branson had bad analytics, except the problem with analytics is it doesn't measure intangibles, and Goodbranson had intangibles up the wazoo.
Yeah, exactly. Once in a while, you need a Paul Laws to just kick somebody's ass. It's a beautiful
thing. There you go.
All right, Alan, you are a stud. Follow him on Twitter, @Poupart_Fins. Catch his work with Sports Illustrated. Alan, thank you for taking some time, my man. You be safe out there. Wear your mask.
Well, right back at you, boss.
You got it, baby. Be good. There you go, the great Alan Poupart. Nice enough to take some time, talk a little Dolphins and a little Okie. Switched in a little Okie because he's from Canada. So he forgot more about hockey than I'll ever know. I love talking hockey with him because I usually learn. But, this time I actually had it right, and so he didn't, normally he would straighten me out like, oh, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. This is what's going on, and then I get, edumacated.
Bonus topic.
Yeah, bonus topic. Yeah, well, because he's one of those guys I can.
No, he knows.
Yeah. No, let me tell you something. There's a lot of writers that they got the blinders on, and they just kind of follow their sport. And because they're beat writers, they don't really have time to follow anything else.
Yeah.
And so years go on, and they're that's all they know is that sport. They don't really follow baseball, basketball, hockey, whatever, that kind of stuff.
They got enough on their plate already.
Right. Alan's not that dude. Alan follows everything. Plus, he's Canadian, eh? So, he's
like my buddy Guy back in the day, man.
So he's going to know his
Montreal,
Okie.
Canada.
He's going to know his Okie. You know what I'm saying, Hoser? All right, let's take a break. On the other side, we are going to talk to Andres Fernandez. Andre Fernandez is going to join us. We'll talk a little Miami Heat. He's got a podcast out. It's called Front Page 305. Follow it on Twitter at Front Page 305. Better yet, subscribe to it. Andre Fernandez, Heat Talk, next.
It's a buyer's market at Toyota of Hollywood. Over 1,500 Toyotas on the ground, and truckloads just keep on coming. Now pay up to 50% less. 2020 Camry, not $29,000, $17,775. 2020 Corolla, not $22,000, $13,775. Buy a new 2020 Toyota with 0 down and 0% financing, or we'll make your payments till 2021. At Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
I see where the Celtics are screwed. Gordon Hayward expected to miss about 4 weeks after suffering a grade 3 right ankle sprain Monday night versus the Sixers. Damn, that kid.
I was so excited when I got him on my fantasy team, and you told me, bro, the guy is never on your team. He's always on the bench or in the training room.
Yeah.
Why do you have him on your fantasy team?
Yeah.
You couldn't be more right, bro. I see, man, wow.
It happens, unfortunately, and it happens to some guys. They get an injury, and it just
He's such a great player, too, man.
it just compounds, man, and they have bad break after bad break. It's terrible. All right, let's talk to my man Andre Fernandez. You can follow him on Twitter, Fernandez Andre C. Follow the podcast at Front Page 305. Better yet, subscribe to it so you can catch Andre, Manny, and company do their thing and talk about everything in South Florida sports. Andre, how you doing, my brother?
Pretty good, man. How you doing, Miguel?
Very good, my friend. How's the new podcast going?
Going well, man. We recorded another episode today. We were on live now that we're going on Tuesdays on channel 145 and talk a little bit about Heat playoffs. You know, that's the big story today. The Heat getting ready to start what might be another interesting, maybe exciting series against the Pacers. You know, not much needs to be said more about the history between those two. So,
are you talking?
Looking forward to it and
Slam Radio with my boy Larry.
That's correct.
Okay.
Slam Radio.
Okay,
Yeah, we're on there every Tuesday at noon.
You can say it here, bro. That's fine with me. I'm not. That's not who I am, bro. You can say it tell the folks where you guys are at every Tuesday, so they know.
Yeah, Tuesday Slam Radio at noon. We're going there, and we talk a little bit about the Heat, Dolphins, Canes, you name it, the Panthers, and then we try to put a little fun into it too. The 3 guys that have been around for a while here in South Florida.
There you go. So and catch the go to the Twitter feed from Page 305. Subscribe to the podcast, and you can listen to it there. And you got the new episode there with Andre, Manny, and who's the third wheel?
And Walter Villa. He was our mentor at the Herald for a long time. Still writes a lot, covers a lot of different sports down here. For a lot of different publications. So
okay. All right, no problem, man. That's good stuff. So from Page 305, folks, you can get everything 305. Those of you tuning in, downloading, watching, whatever you do, Front Page 305 is something you definitely got to support out there. All right, so Andre, tonight, Heat Game 1. Miami's favored by 4.5. First of all, Kendrick Nunn, I've been pointing out for months before COVID, he wasn't really efficient. He started off really hot, but really on the back end of the season, he wasn't really an efficient player. He wasn't shooting at a nice clip. Well, in the bubble, he kind of kept doing what he was doing towards the end of the regular season, and now a change has been made. They haven't necessarily said it, but I would imagine it's Goran that's going to start. What do you think of the changes?
I think it's a good move because that way, like you said, he had declined in production a little bit, shooting, and this gives him a chance to kind of continue to ease his way back in, use him on that second unit. It does look like it is going to be Goran, and they talk a lot about relying on that experience both from him and from the guys that they got in the trade. So I think it is going to be Goran, although I think I'm excited to see how much they might give Tyler a shot as well. Maybe they're going to do it now from the second team, but who knows? I mean, you saw what he was able to do toward the end of the seeding games there, especially the night he almost had the triple-double. But, this team is going to need, the veterans, I think, to lead in a lot of ways, not just Goran, but like I said before, Iguodala, Jay Crowder is going to be very, very important to the mix and the rotation there as well. So, that'll be a way for Nunn to kind of get back in, and then if he can, find his rhythm again, it's only so much better for them, to continue to add to that depth that I think, is a key advantage that they're going to have in this series.
Yeah, and listen, I got into the league. You shocked the league. They gave you the starting job. And then now they kind of took it away from you, and now you got to go fight for it back. I love what Spo's doing here because you mentioned it now in your answer. So now he may have a motivated Nunn, a Tyler also that's been coming on now because he started off cold in the bubble, and then now he's heated up, and he's playing much better. And you and I know they're not going to play Dragon 30-something minutes a game. Even though he's starting, they're probably going to keep him in the low 20s or something like that. So you are going to have to need some other guys to share the minutes. And we saw Tyler handling the ball too. I would imagine there's going to be an interesting battle with Tyler and Nunn from here on out.
I think so too, and I think you're right about the motivation for Kendrick because if you look at him, the great start, rookie of the month 3 times in a row, all that, and then all this happens, and he knows he's got to keep this going because he's a little older as a rookie than most of the star rookies, including his own teammate right there. So I think he's got something to prove that this is sustainable for him. It's not just a fluke season as a rookie and that's it. Teams are keying on, teams know him a little bit better now. But, it's going to be a good push for them for him to find that rhythm again, coming off the bench. And I think, you're right. Go on. We know he's been injury prone, so you don't want to put that many minutes, out of the starting lineup as well. The interesting thing is he's been such a force in the role that you're putting the rookies in now, coming off of the reserve bunch. So you wonder how that's going to change the dynamic there. But definitely hope that the youngsters get a better chance to get acclimated, to play their first, playoff minutes and ease into what playoff basketball is like while you lean more on the experienced guys.
And Crowder, I would imagine, stays in the starting lineup?
Yeah, I would think so, too. I mean, what he's done has been, very important. It's so much so that I think that he's got to be the priority guy to bring back as far as the guys that are on expiring contracts, for next season. You see just, kind of like that Swiss Army knife guy, he can shoot and do so much on the defensive end. I mean, he's one of those that probably, along with Iguodala's experience, just such an important acquisition for them. And you want to hang on to that guy if you can in the offseason because other teams are going to be interested as well. But yeah, I think he stays in that starting role for right now unless something drastic changes.
When what's it called? When you look at damn it, I was just thinking now when you look at the battle with TJ Warren tonight. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they calmed it down a couple of games ago. The last game doesn't count, obviously. How does that resurrect tonight between those two guys?
I mean, it depends on how much Jimmy, I think, directly will be guarding him and how much TJ is going to be guarding Jimmy. I mean, I don't know how much will happen in game one, but the fact that I know Jimmy's trying to squash it, saying it's over, they're always going to say that, but it could be, especially if it's a long series. You know how it is. It's a heat of battle, playoff basketball. There's emotional moments. There's tense moments, at the end of the game where a guy's going to want to show up another guy. You can't tell me that fuse is not going to be lit or about to be lit on both sides. You know what I mean? So that's where I wonder if how long it's going to take before, some sort of fireworks go off there between those two. If not in game one, at some point during what I think could be, 6-game series at least.
Yeah, because I would imagine Warren was red hot until that game last week, and I would imagine that he's simmering right now thinking about that, and he's going to be motivated to kind of come back at them tonight, and I would imagine that Jimmy Butler is expecting that too, and he kind of downplayed this whole, not that it's a rivalry or whatever, or beef, let's just say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't tell me if Warren comes out firing and he's playing a lot better that you're not going to put, your best defender on him to try and shut him down. Jimmy is not going to say, put me on him or put himself on him without even, without even asking or something like that. I mean, you're going to see that matchup. You're going to see it frequently throughout the series. And, like we were talking about before, I mean, yeah, for TJ, there's redemption on the line now for himself after he was up there lighting it up the same way, almost like the way Damian Lillard and Booker were, maybe not to those numbers, but Warren, people forget was really lighting it. It's a point of pride for both sides.
I can imagine. Andre Fernandez, by the way, joining us. You can make sure you can follow him on Twitter at Fernandez Andre C.
But I'm telling you what's going on with my family. My grandmother died of COVID, and my godmother died of COVID. My sister and her husband are fighting for their lives, and my sister is not doing well. They couldn't give her the remdesivir.
That is Sharon Stone. that tells you how bad this thing is and how irresponsible we are in this country. We can't track and trace when people get infected. We're not testing enough. We're testing less now. I don't know if you guys know that, but we're testing less. Okay? That's not going to hide the cases. The cases and the deaths will continue, and they will continue to rise. And then you got the politicians telling you and lying to you, like Trump and DeSantis, telling you that, oh, this trend is this way, and it's not. And listen to Sharon Stone's voice, dude. The pain in that voice and the inept way that they're going about it in Montana. And I'm sure a lot of other places, because we're freaking ignorant in this country. In New Zealand, for that, we'll go to Sturgis and we'll go rioting and looting and protesting without a mask. Actually, no, I shouldn't say that. The looters and the rioters actually have masks because they're trying to hide their faces while they're committing crimes. It's the idiot protesters that aren't wearing masks. And by the way, I call you an idiot protester because you're protesting without a mask. Not because you're protesting. I got no problems with protesters. I have all the problems in the world with a protester without a mask. That's somebody hang around hundreds and thousands of people without a mask, because that makes a lot of sense. This right there, you hear that in Sharon's voice. She lost her godmother already. She lost her grandmother to COVID. She's got 2 other people that are fighting for their lives right now. People can't get tested because you're not symptomatic. Well, the problem with all of this is you can't tell people that they have the COVID sometimes and they don't even know they have it. So then that means you have to test everybody. It's kind of like when, the guy with the orange hair tells everybody, well, we're testing more than everybody. That's why there's more cases. No, idiot. You might have stupid people believe that. There's more cases because people are not following the rules. The testing rate would be the same if you were controlling it or crushing the curb. Whether you test 100,000 or 1 million, if you're at 8.9% positive rate, you should be at 8.9% no matter how many more people you test. But the fact that the positivity rate is going up, it's because more people are infected. It's not because you're testing more. Only dumbass Trump and whoever wants to follow that believes stupid-ass lines like that. The examples are here left and right. But the problem is, in America, we read the headline and we think the headline is what the article is about, and we comment on something we didn't bother reading. Okay? I know because I post things on Twitter all the time, and it has a headline, and the headline doesn't tell you everything that's in there. And yet I have people comment, and you know how I answer them? I go, way to go. You never listen to the segment, I can tell. You're commenting on something that had nothing to do with the segment. Way to go. Typical American. Because that's the typical American. You're lazy. You don't bother to read. You don't bother to really look at what's going on. You just listen to somebody else that's lazy and irresponsible and doesn't do it right. Okay? That's Sharon Stone that's happening to. Governor won't take her calls. Health department hangs up on her. That's Sharon Stone. How in the hell are you going to get any help? Okay? And you know why they're doing that over there in Montana? Because it's Sharon Stone. And they're afraid that they know they're mishandling everything. They don't want Sharon Stone to actually expose them even more. That's all they're doing. Oh, shit. It's Sharon Stone again. I'm not answering it. You think I'm stupid? You think I was born yesterday? I know what the hell's going on. I know how people are. Been around them all my life. It's amazing, dude. and prayers to her. Hope she's able to get through this thing, and hope her family, she's lost enough already as it is. All right, 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the program. That's 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the program. You can also reach out to us on Twitter. That's at Big O Show. Follow us there. Did you know that there's one last Blockbuster left in the country?
The one that's in Alaska?
Oregon. Okay.
Do you remember John Oliver?
Yes.
Bought the stuff from one of the I guess it was one of the last ones. It was in Anchorage.
Okay.
He bought some movie memorabilia they had,
All right, so let's go. Let's get to the story here. In March of 2019, a Blockbuster store in Bend, Oregon, became the last remaining Blockbuster on Earth. Now, if you aren't satisfied just browsing the shelves and candy selection of the rare '90s relic, soon you'll be able to book it for a night at the cost of a movie rental. That's right. CNN Travel reports the last Blockbuster location will be available to rent on an Airbnb for $4 a night beginning August 17th. Sandy Harding, the manager of the video rental store since 2004, has set up the space to recreate the experience of renting a VHS tape and having an old school movie night at home. A sofa in the makeshift living room features a pull-out mattress complete with retro Memphis pattern sheets. After getting cozy in bed, guests can enjoy their choice of movie from the store's robust VHS collection on a big boxy TV, and naturally, popcorn and other movie theater snacks are available on site. This year marks the 20th anniversary of the Bend Blockbuster opening. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, having a big celebration was impossible. So Harding found a way to make the occasion a little bit more intimate. With everybody being stuck at home and re-experiencing family time together, we thought it would be fun to enjoy some family time in a throwback 90s environment, she told CNN. The bookings, by the way, open on Airbnb on August 17th. Guests will be able to reserve their one-night stay for September 18, 19, or 20. The space is limited to 4 people with guests from the same household preferred. I would imagine that you've got to run a background check on the people that are renting, right? Or you've got to ask for one hell of a deposit. It can't just be $4 because you get 4 losers in there for $4 and then they destroy your store. Not going to happen, right? Or I would imagine somebody's going to be there. The manager will be there sitting in the office in the back or something. Hey, you guys have fun. I'll be in the back in the office. Now, the question is, what if those people want to have sex right there on the couch? I know I wanted to do it at a modern age. Why wouldn't I do it at a Blockbuster? I'm just saying. Are there rules? Can't order out food, can't have sex. What's the deal? No orgies? There's 4 people. I don't know. You tell me, or is that a foursome? Orgy needs to be more. Is there rules for orgies? Is there a minimum requirement to it be called an orgy?
You're supposed to be watching movies, not making one.
Well, you could do both. Could do both. You watch one, make one. There you go. And now, think about it. You make a porn at the only Blockbuster in the world. The last porn ever at a Blockbuster. Boom. That thing will be out for renting left and right. People will love it. Now, here's the other thing. Are you going to be kind and going to rewind? You know?
What are you talking about rewinding?
Ah, there you go. Depends. But are you're gonna do that? And there's things that we gotta think about here. Bend, Oregon. Is weed legal in Oregon? Can you smoke a little, doobie? Or do you have to go outside? Are you allowed outside of the Blockbuster? Or do they not want you to open the doors because it's late at night and somebody may come in or something? Or they may think you're open. What about if somebody thinks you're open and they keep knocking? Come Come on, you guys are there. You're watching a movie. Come on, I got to return this. There's a lot of things that can go on. And here's the other thing. That Blockbuster has got to be all DVDs, right? And then they have just some VHS. Who the hell still has a VHS machine? I mean, I have one. Not that I use it, because I do have one actually in one of my rack downstairs. I have one that's a DVD VHS. It's a dual one. It's been there forever. But, like, who still uses a VHS? That's weird, man. But, hey, if you want to rent a Blockbuster, it's there for you. It's a beautiful thing. Let's see. What do we have here now that we are re-signed? Porno requires 5+. Okay. All right. So 5+ is porno. Okay. Oh, you're back. Yes, Myron, I got your super chat. Thank you, sir. Here we go. Give you a little love. Ian goes, Big O wanted to bounce early. It's okay. He works hard. Yeah, I guess I wanted to bounce early. I didn't know this thing did this. Want to do it again? I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Learn something new every day.
There you go, Myron. See, you send a couple of extra super chats, and there we go. We actually learned something today. Porno requires 5+, and we got an extra super chat from Myron. I love it. I love it. There you go.
Did you say that was in Bend,
Oregon?
Over Oregon?
Not Bend over, but just Bend. Just Bend. I had a guy once on QAM. We were doing the show, and we had a guy come on and call himself I'm Bend Over, and that's traffic on Sports Radio 560 QAM. I'm Bend Over, and so it's just like, and I think I have the drop, by the way. I'm pretty sure I have the drop of the guy saying bend over. Seriously. It's funny. Let's see if I have it here. Where is it? Bend over. May have it. I don't think you can they can't hear it from here, right? Right? If I play it here, they're not going to be able to hear it. Right? Let me see. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. You got to pot it up. Okay, let's see. I don't know what's going on here.
Nice puppies.
Yeah, I heard that. You heard it too? Okay. So, yeah, I actually had, let me see, maybe it's under traffic. It's probably under traffic report. But, yeah, there was a guy that did it, and I know we recorded it because I said, oh, dude, you got to get me that. Here it is. I do have it. Here we go.
I'm Bend Over, and that's traffic on Sports Radio 560 QAM.
I told you.
I'm Bend Over, and that's traffic on Sports Radio 560 QAM.
I love it. I love it.
He's bent over, ready for pornographic filming.
Dude, and that's a legit traffic report that went on, okay? That's a legit traffic report. When he did that, I forgot who was my co-host. I said, did he just call himself Bend Over? And it was like, yeah. And I go, oh, I got to have that, bro. You got to give me that right now. Come on. I mean.
That's better than Roger, Victor.
Yeah.
Clarence.
Yes. Weapons X United. Love it, man. I love it. I got my new, it's like scratching, you know? That's it. I can scratch with my siren.
So forget the techniques.
Yeah.
Forget the techniques. We're going to use the puck for the light up.
Yes. And speaking of airplane, I should have that file too. Right? Pot it up there. Let me see. Oh God, I got to transfer some of these. That's what it is.
Can I get you something?
Some mofo butter lamb into the bones. Take me up.
Excuse me.
Shayna, they bought their tickets. They knew what they were getting into. I say, let them crash.
Which is the one that you were talking about?
Excuse me. Don't worry. I speak jive. That old lady.
Yeah. What's the one you wanted? What was the one you were talking about?
That's when they're in the cockpit. Clarence, Roger. Victor.
Yes. I know I have that one somewhere around here.
The other one is
here.
Flight 209er, you are cleared for takeoff.
Roger. Huh?
LA departure frequency 123.9er.
Roger. Huh? Request vector. Over. What?
Flight 209er, clear for vector 324.
We have clearance, Clarence. Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
Howard radio clearance, over.
That's Clarence, over.
Over. Roger.
Huh?
Roger, over. What? Hey! Who?
There you go. That's what it's all about.
The other one that's good in the beginning. The white zone is for loading. And, if you would have just got an abortion.
Right. Yeah. It's.
The red zone is for immediate loading and unloading of passengers only. There's no stopping in the white zone.
No, the white zone is for loading and unloading, and there is no stopping in the red zone.
The red zone has always been for loading and unloading. There's never stopping in a white zone.
Don't tell me which zone is for stopping and which zone is for loading.
Listen, Betty, don't start up with your white zone again. There's just no stopping in a white zone.
Oh, really, Vernon? Why pretend? We both know perfectly well what it is you're talking about. You want me to have an abortion.
It's really the only sensible thing to do. If it's done properly, therapeutically, there's no danger involved.
There's so many drops in that movie. It's amazing. Thank you, Weapons X United. Appreciate you out there. Surely you must be serious. I am serious. And don't call me Shirley. Yes, Ray. Love that line. Gotta love the Shirley line, right? Go ahead.
I was thinking you were going to play it.
Oh, I can play it. Let me see here. Hold on. Let me, here we go.
How are the passengers doing?
I won't deceive you, Mr. Stryker. We're running out of time.
Surely there must be something you can do.
I'm doing everything I can. And stop calling me Shirley.
I love it. You can't. That movie is still holds up to this day. That's the best part. Right? I'll do it again. Here we go.
The stewardess said both pilots.
Can you fly this plane and land it?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
There you go. Gotta stop calling him Shirley. It's not a good thing. All right, it is time to wrap it up here on the show. We gave you guys enough sound bites right there to close out the show and have a little fun with it. I don't know, what else do we have? We do have a couple things I could talk about. John Jones going to heavyweight. Des Bryant working out for the Ravens on Thursday. How about the Dolphins? Did you see this? Not that anything is, but Joyce Harrell and Olivia Passy have become new scouts for the Dolphins. They hired two ladies as female scouts for the Miami Dolphins. So congratulations to the Dolphins, as you know, they are giving minorities all over opportunities in the league. So it's pretty cool to see them be as diverse as they are. So there you go. I do have a bunch of other stories that I could get to. We'll leave some of them for tomorrow. We'll have some fun with it. And we'll get to talk a little Heat tomorrow as they play the Pacers. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place, same bat channel, Thank you all out there, as always, for tuning in. Y'all be good. Y'all be safe. We thank Bill, and we thank, of course, Philippe, audio and video. We thank our super chatters, Cookie Vice, Myron, Kenneth Cleveland, Manny J. Snow, and Weapons X United. And Myron sends in another one. He says, best Quentin Tarantino movie, Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs or Django. Django would definitely not be the winner. I'll take Pulp or Reservoir Dogs over Django any day. I thought Django was a little overrated and too long. I am going to go. Wow, Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs? That's hard. I'm going to go Pulp. Slight. I love the dialogue in Reservoir Dogs is better.
Yes,
it's better. I
want to change my name. Your name is Mr. Pink.
Yeah. I love the dialogue in that one.
What do you mean you didn't leave a tip?
I'm gonna give Pulp Fiction a slight hair, only because it's more of an entertaining movie when it's all said and done. You know what I mean?
It's crazy. It's off the wall.
But they're both awesome. But Django would definitely be my third placer. I'm gonna go Pulp Fiction by a hair over Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Same thing.
Pulp for sure.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But I love Reservoir Dogs. Man, that was tough.
If it's on, I'm watching it.
I'm picking the one with the Salma Hayek Tarantino movie with the snake over Django. What's that called? Damn it! No, it's not a vampire thing. It's called. Man.
From Dusk Till Dawn.
That's it. From Dusk Till Dawn. I'll take that one over Django. Yes. All right, so we thank all our super chatters, Weapons X United, along with Myron several times.
You didn't focus on all the wrong sort of details here. You need to forget about all the normal rules that apply in society.
Wasted no time. Super chat. I thought it was really, 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 really cool.
You should all be very proud of yourself.
I have no response.
Super chat.
That was perfect.
Thank you all out there. By the way, some breaking news. Tom Flores, former Raiders coach and two-time champion, and also a minority, has been selected as a finalist for the class of 2021 for the Hall of Fame. Kind of a shame that he's not in it when he's a two-time champion, man. It's kind of weird. Just saying, Anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow. You all be good out there. Be safe. Please wear your mask. Let's really crush this thing. Would be really, really nice.
Tomorrow, modified time, 12 o'clock, folks.
That's right.
We're at VSS.
VSS.